This episode of An Unexpected Podcast is brought to you by Jeff Wade. Thank you. Hello, friends, and welcome to An Unexpected Podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Amanda.
And I don't know if we're just slap happy or Lane didn't get much sleep last night.
Neither did you, Ez.
I didn't either. I was he found me on his front porch, just literally rocking away in the early morning, like just ready to go. I mean, it's I don't know. It makes sense with this chapter. We're talking about we're in the house of Tom Bombadil and
Tom Bombadil in the house. Check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, Forest Man.
Yeah. So. The sleepy nature, though, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean,
makes a lot of sense.
Pretty tired, and then it was a very Gandalf thing to just open my door, and you did send me a text message, but to open the door and to see you, I thought you might have been like getting stuff out of your car.
I was there for
literally
hours.
On the rocking chair, just hey man, hey. I think you were drinking some iced coffee in the freezing cold, which is kind of an interesting choice.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I mean that's bold. Yeah,
it was good. It was it was a fun time. So, but I'm excited. We've had some coffee in us now. We are on spring break, so I think we
shouldn't tell people that.
We shouldn't. I'm really sorry we said that out loud. I shouldn't.
We're actually at work right now.
Sorry. Well, we shouldn't
say
normal
Monday.
We shouldn't say
Monday.
Yeah, normal Monday, guys.
We're not teachers.
Podcasting at work.
But here's the thing: this is a totally different. This is new for us.
This is weird. The sun's out.
Sun's out.
Yeah.
Pod's out. You know, so
right.
It's kind of an interesting thing. Usually, it's by the time we all get all set up and has done the sound checks and we've rambled, it's usually like 1 a.m, and so it's not even lunchtime yet, and we're podcasting. So it's kind of
great.
Yeah,
it's actually great. Lane made some eggs for me this morning. I think they were well done. Your wife said not as fluffy as we wanted, but hey.
So apparently you can screw up scrambled eggs. Thanks for that. Now the whole world knows.
I don't know.
Great. Thank you.
So I don't know. Like, you got anything else? We're in quick counsel now. So,
yeah, we just moved right in. No, I mean, I'm enjoying this. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. Just being with you, bud.
I know. It's been a good morning. We've got a lot out. Got a lot off our chests. He did. Yeah, Lane's actually got some egg in his beard right now, which is kind of weird.
It doesn't bother me.
Whatever. Whatever. Did you get that bacon out of the oven, by the way?
Yeah, that was like an
hours ago. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I literally just thought of it. I'm sorry. Yeah, we were making some. Yeah, I didn't even get any of that bacon.
There's some. Go get some.
I'll
cover for you. Go walk to the kitchen's 5 feet that way.
I don't want any bacon.
Okay.
We're good.
Well,
but anyways,
you can if you want.
Also, we have a nice Ivy League candle, which I think I'll post this picture on Facebook. It smells so good.
Guys, this is so cool because when we first started this, it was all business. Ez would come in, no small talk, no pleasantries, just kind of, we gotta get set up, man. Let's go. We gotta get set up. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. I mean, you've heard the stories. I get one word answers or grunts.
Right.
This is great, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're relaxing. I
almost
forget that there's even mics in front of us. You know what I mean? We're having a good time. So he's sniffing my candles. He's making me make him eggs. I don't need breakfast. I don't need breakfast. Yeah, go ahead. I'll take some eggs. But make sure you do it right. Did you put milk on that? Did you put milk on those scrambled eggs? Okay, all right.
I mean, that's how I sound in the morning. So
it's his morning voice.
That's my morning voice. But the sniffing. This smells so good, guys. I just want you to
forget the sniffing.
I just want you, if you don't have this candle, you should go out and buy it.
Yeah,
it's
they're really good. And I'll tell you, the place to go for candles.
What about the one candle? The tobacco smelling?
The tobacco. Oh my gosh. And we can't find that anymore. So the best place to get candles for me that I've found is TJ Maxx.
Okay.
Or Marshall's or wherever it is in your, whatever it's called in your part of the country or whatever.
Right.
Best place because they're always like half price and you can find weird, like nice soy candles and like brands you've never heard of and flavors, scents.
Yeah.
Scents that you've never even smelled.
That's awesome.
So you go in there, you get a little head buzz from smelling so many candles, but you always leave with like 5 that you love. But that tobacco one, we can't find anymore, man.
Man, we'll have to look.
It's gone. Chesapeake Bay or something. I don't know.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting.
So you got the Ivy League going, and Ez is happy.
Yeah, absolutely. While are we doing this right now in the quick council, we're going to do a little, what all do you have here?
We got a little stuff. Do you want to do the Patreon stuff?
Oh, yeah. Just to kind of, we've got some cool stuff going on.
We've got a full fellowship now, don't we?
We have a full fellowship. And so we want to thank those folks. I didn't have it pulled up here, but I have. Let's see who our last person was. I think it was James Aquilina, I think. Was the last one to kind of hop in there and make this a full fellowship. So we listed all of them last podcast, and this one was brought to you by Jeff Wade today. So appreciate that.
Thank you,
Jeff. Thanks so much. And so if you want to join in there, we're starting another 9. You know what I mean? Right, so let's get after it. Also, we're getting close to having to make that drinking game. That will be.
Oh my gosh, I am. So excited for that.
Will be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah.
I do want to make a quick note too. Okay, so you heard Mike Charles share a little bit of his story, and then also share his gift of he's donating some retro Lord of the Rings toys to the book club that we can give away as like a review drawing for review drawings that we do. So Mike recorded that after we recorded the podcast, so I didn't know he was going to go into as much depth as he did, old Boromir. So I wanted to take a second to thank him for that. And then also, because we were kind of like brief on our intro outro, just because I didn't know how much he was going to say. But that's a cool taste of what our Bywater post episodes can be. Because we're getting pretty snowed under, guys. We're kind of lost in the mail. You guys have sent us so many messages in so many different places, and it is such a good thing. But what we want to start doing is instead of just reading them every episode for us, or every chapter, is to start making those episodes that are standalone Bywater post episodes where we have a way for you to call in and leave a voicemail or send us a voice memo through email. That's actually how Mike sent us ours. Exactly. It was through an email. Yeah. So just on his iPhone, he recorded that, sent it through an email. It was 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
And then we can plug that into a full episode, and we'll do a quick intro, little outro, and it'll be all you guys telling your stories. And so the cool thing about that for me is I love listening to our episodes, but for me, once we do a reread, you and I, it's kind of like we had the conversation. I don't necessarily listen to all of it. I'll come back and I'll listen to funny stuff where we had chuckles and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, those Bywater posts would give me something to be really excited to listen to, because we could hear your voice, because we know your faces. We know like funny things that you say, and insightful comments and things that you've shared. But it'd be cool to hear it in your voice, and so that would give us something to look forward to like listen to.
That would be what we would be listening to, and then we would be responding to that on the show. So it would be kind of cool.
It would just increase the reality of this book club. It would make it another level.
Something we could do too is, since we're every other, we'll see you in a fortnight. We're still going to do the rest of the show, by the way. That wasn't a sign-off.
Yeah, we're gone.
We'll see ya. Yeah. But no, we have, like, in between that, we could actually drop Bywater post.
We could.
So.
And then we could be like a week. It could be a weekly
and honestly,
thing.
guys, it doesn't have to be like, your Tolkien stories. It could be, if we have a weekly contributor who's, like, sending us, like, hey, guys, last episode we were talking about, the Old Forest, and here's my thoughts on it. Boom, put it in there. So we probably have to cap people to, like, a certain, depends on how many we got, time limit and stuff. But, I don't know. I like to hear people, So I love to listen. I'm a listener, actually. So I actually like to sit and listen to people talk.
I want to hear their stories from in their own words.
Yeah, I think they're about that. That's a great call. And on another note similar to that, our Facebook page, we've been talking about maybe the need for a group, and really the difference, guys, is that we would still run the page. We would post the thread for discussions. We would still keep you updated, throw our stuff up there. Lane does like an album, a companion album that he does for the Patreon series. Yeah. But the Facebook group basically would allow you to kind of go in there, and you can share whenever, whatever, whenever you want. The people who would regulate that would be Lane and I. We would kind of look at it, and if there's anybody really
trolling us,
or
turn them to stone is what we do.
We turn them to stone, But no, I mean, as long as the nature of our I think the people who listen to us and stick around and enjoy the club understand that we're just real easygoing, real laid back. We want everyone to feel accepted and welcome and stuff like that. So we would just kind of peruse it a little bit, and we would engage with you guys there too. So it's just that way it's like, okay, Lane posted a thread on Monday, but I have something different I want to talk about. Boom, throw it up. If you want to talk about Return of the King right now, and you're like, I can't wait 2-3 years, post that in the group. Let's have the discussion now. Right. So it's just a good way for you guys to kind of and we'll still start threads and posts and stuff in there too. So
and it was cool. I was glad that you kind of detailed that for me, because I honestly didn't know the difference between what you can do on a page versus a a group.
Yeah.
So that makes sense why, if it's more difficult for you guys to share, we don't want that. We want you to be able to have free reign.
We have people sending us like photos of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, we can only upload one. I'm like, nah, you should be able to upload all of those. We want you to, if you have an album, you want to put some stuff up and make a post and do different things, then that's what we want. This is, supposed to be a community and a group.
Exactly. And so we did do a poll on that. We want to know what you guys thought. We got 58 votes and I think we put it up a couple days ago.
Yeah.
When we're recording this, we had 91% say yes, 9% said no.
Yeah, so I think we'll do it.
And I don't know if maybe the people who voted no thought we were going to abandon the page.
We're not doing that.
We're not going to. We'll just run both. So,
and it's not hard to run both, to be honest with you, because the page is just sort of like those threads of like, here's the new podcast, here are updates, things like that. Whereas the group is basically run by all of us. Which is much easier. Yeah. So. All right, guys, that's it. I don't want to,
I do have to give a special request, a little shout out to Paulina. We love to see ya out on the road that goes ever on. Please don't turn to the dark, Lord Sauron. Oh, Paulina. Yeah, I don't know Paulina, but we've got a special request from our buddy Scott, son of Samwise. He's a gardener.
Okay.
He runs like a gardening greenhouse business in England.
Okay.
And Paulina is his wife. And he wants to get Paulina into our book club. He wants her to be involved. So he said, hey, Lane and Ez, could you give Paulina a little shout out?
Right.
We got to get her hooked on Tolkien. And if there's anything, kids, we should be hooked on, it's Tolkien.
That's right.
So that's for Paulina. Paulina, join our fellowship. Come on aboard. It's a beautiful place, and let's take this road together, all right?
That's right.
I think I heard her answer. That was a little delay from England, but she's in.
She's in.
Okay.
On to Dropping Eaves. We're not going to, there's not a whole lot
here. There's nothing going on, man.
And we want to spend much more time on the chapter today, I think. So
it's important.
Lane, you want to just brush us through it?
Yeah, I mean, so there's this article that was recent on bgr.com, and it pretty much recaps everything that we know, and it hashes out that this might be the most expensive TV show of all time, which obviously.
Cool.
So thanks for that revelation, BGR. And then it was a good article, but it was like, it's nothing new. So Tolkien biopic, no new news. We're still just waiting for a release date. We'll keep one eye on that.
Okay.
In other corners of Middle Earth, we have a couple polls. So we shared our one about the Facebook group, and then we had another poll from the previous chapter. We said, who's to blame? So this is our every chapter by chapter polls reflecting on something that happened in that chapter. They can be funny, they can be goofy, they can be serious, whatever. So who's to blame for the animosity between the Old Forest and the Hobbits? Is it the Hobbits or the Hjorns? And 25 votes in a day. I think at this point, when we're
normally
recording
let this go a little bit longer.
Yeah. When we're taking advantage of spring break here, we're recording again real quick. But this poll's only been out a day. 25 votes. 68% said Hobbits. Hjorns said 32%. Michael Upshaw put a pretty cool GIF down there on that thread or that poll. So just go check that out. That's funny. And I don't know, is it Fatty or is it Bolger? I don't know.
Right. That's a great.
Not really sure.
I'm really still wondering about that myself. Okay.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry. We did order our mini epics, which is the Weta like pop figurine type thing. The what are they called? Not vinyl. Whatever they're made out of.
Yeah.
The little toy figurines that are real popular. So we are going to when we get those, we're going to do a short little review. We might do like a Facebook Live video, or we might just take pictures, or we might work it into the podcast. But it's kind of cool. I asked people, we started a thread and said, who do you think we ordered?
Yeah.
So one person nailed it.
Yeah.
Everyone got like part of it right, but one person got both right. So you just have to stay tuned and wait for that to see who got, who did Ez order, who did I order.
Yep.
So, and we're really excited about those. They had like a 2 for $50 deal that was going on. So we took advantage of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to that. Who doesn't love toys?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you like a lot.
I love toys. Let's not share all that on the podcast.
Okay, that's an appendices.
All right. So we are now into we got too much climactic stuff in the Today Middle Earth, so we are going right to the reread here, guys. Chapter 7 in the House of Tom Bombadil. Here we go. First, our recap. we were disoriented in the old forest.
Yeah, it got pretty hairy.
It got real. There were cobwebs. There were bugs. There were all sorts of things. When we were going north, right, it was pushing us, south, and it was just, I don't know, it was tough, guys. Yeah. And we got caught up with Old Man Willow, and thank goodness, I don't know if it was Tom heard our call for help or if he just expected us. That's the question.
Or a little bit of both, maybe.
But he did tell Old Man Willow to let us go, and we followed Tom up to his house. So
we're getting ready to step into the threshold. That's kind of how this chapter starts, doesn't it?
That's right.
We walk right in. So also to go along with the recap, we have a couple of you who have some thoughts from the previous episode.
Yeah,
chapter.
absolutely.
So I know that there wasn't a whole lot of time. Obviously, when we're recording this, like I said, it's been about a day since the last chapter was out. But we're going to read the ones that we have so far. So Michael Upshaw said, a little over 6 weeks ago, I foolishly gave up alcohol for Lent. Brave man.
Wow.
I really respect that, honestly. Aside from several deployments early in my career, this has been the longest I've gone without a drink in 15 years. Needless to say, it has been an arduous experience. Add in a toddler and all the spring brews rolling out, it's been almost unbearable. Reading about Bilbo's vintage wines and Sam's frothy mugs were pure torture. That would be.
Absolutely.
And hearing about the golden perch, missing that, he probably feels like he's missing the golden perch right now. And yet, despite all that, the past fortnight has felt even longer than the past 6 weeks as I've waited for your new episode. Wow. It's like the previous episode actually came out last year or something. Man, that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to listening to the episode on my long commute home. Also looking forward to this weekend where I can finally enjoy my own journey through Middle-earth with a cold, frothy mug in hand. Cheers to you, Michael.
Right, absolutely.
Nothing better than a beer in the throat, my friend, so enjoy it when you get it. All right? That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. We look forward to every episode, too, because it means once it comes out, we get to hear from you, hear your thoughts, hear what you're thinking.
And crack open a nice, something cold and frosty, just, I don't know.
Or if you're as an ice cold coffee.
Yeah, that too.
That's disgusting.
I know.
Two schools of thought, and one is wrong.
Right. No. All right.
I'm just kidding.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
Ephraim James, we hear from him often, so he's like, I'm going to be straight up, guys. Hearing you sing Frodo's song was hilarious. And yeah, it is. It's hard for me to.
Do all those songs kind of run together for you?
They do a little bit, yeah.
I honestly.
But they're great.
Yeah.
Have we told them that we're coming out with a.
I don't know. Should we do that? You want to drop that nugget?
Might as well.
So, guys, here's finish.
Yeah. So he said, I'm thinking in my mind, these guys are so dorky, but yet the coolest guys ever. I mean, I wake up in the morning.
He said it
every Wednesday morning, and that's literally what I say to myself in the mirror. Like that's what I say. I'm just joking. I'm joking. But he is from the South. He's from Mississippi, and
Corinth.
Yeah. So he's like, it's hard to find someone who shares an interest in Lord of the Rings. So this podcast is really amazing. So thank you guys for what you're doing, and so on. So thank you, Ephraim, because it's we love hearing from you, buddy.
Yep.
So
it doesn't really feel like work.
No.
I mean, we do put a lot of time into preparing for you guys because we want to give you our best, but it doesn't feel like work to us.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And thank you guys. I mean, it's work for you to contact us and give us your thoughts and everything. So we appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Do you want to drop that little nugget?
Yeah, we might as well, guys. Here's the thing. I think it's time. I think it's time for us to make the album. It's time for us to
demand for it,
to take the songs and
let the Bard out of the box.
Yeah, we got to cut an album. So when we get to the end of book one, part one, I guess you call it, of the Fellowship, I think this summer Lane and I are going to work on that. We're going to try to put some music to it, lay down some tracks.
I am looking forward to this because you guys don't necessarily know this, but I'm a classically trained vocalist. Went to university. Part scholarship.
Oh my god!
And Ezra is he plays pretty much every instrument. And he's got kind of this Chris Stapleton voice,
a little banjo in there.
We want to make use of the gifts the Valar have given us.
That's right.
And we thought, what better way than to, give you our spin on these songs.
Yeah.
So this is we've just been farting around, honestly. Okay.
Yeah, guys.
And we're gonna get real serious here.
Are we? Because I kind of like the,
No, it'll be tongue in cheek kind of thing.
Good.
But still, it's gonna be fun. I think we're and as
the whole point is to have fun.
Ez
with
wants
it.
to do some production. He wants to create maybe put it up on iTunes. Maybe it can go to the Hobbit Fund or whatever. The donation for the Tolkien estate. I don't know. Help the Hobbit happen. Right. That happened a while ago. But yeah, maybe we could raise money for malnourished hobbits somewhere or something like that. So
I'm down for that. Yeah. All right, so stay tuned. That shall be coming. Don't worry, we're still in the reread. I promise.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Here we are. So we have a summary of this chapter. So we've crossed the threshold of Tom Bombadil's house, and let me tell you, that is where the spell sets in. I mean, I think it was kind of already there, but legitimately,
there's an enchantment going on.
Something's going on here. Yeah. Okay. The sight of Goldberry makes us burst out into song.
Yes.
All right.
We stammer first, but yes,
we do.
We get there.
Right. The hobbits they're famished. They're ready for dinner, but they gotta get cleaned up first. The food is freshly gathered. All right. Tom tells a few stories. The hobbits take a few naps, and the ring is revealed to Tom.
Man, there are layers.
There's
in this
so
chapter.
much in this chapter,
so much
dude.
going on.
We just need to dive right into the details,
Let's just get into it.
Immediately.
Let's get in.
All right.
Yeah. So we're gonna fill up the corners here. Okay. Into it. So we broke this into 3 sections. We even though the chapters aren't overly long, we still like to break it up into kind of chunks. It helps me anyway focus in because I'm all scatterbrained and all over the place. So that helps me kind of focus in on arcs within the chapter even. So our first section is A Merry Dole Welcome, which is page 121 to 126. And then we have Breakfast in the Clouds, which is page 126 and 127. And then our final section is A Rainy Day, A Welcome Delay, and A Magical Display, which is page 127 to 131. So a lot of different stuff going on in this chapter. And it's probably the most different we've seen our hobbits.
Yeah.
It's very, very... And if you think about it, Frodo talks 4 times.
Yeah.
And Merry and Pippin once. We don't really... Does Sam even utter anything? It's such a different...
That's a good
dynamic,
point.
right?
That's a good point.
It's very different. So, and Ez hit on it. There's an enchantment. We walk into this house and it's like we're in a different world, man. It's like we're on a different plane.
Well, and there's these reoccurring...
Of reality.
It really is. There's these reoccurring sort of colors and scents and, just appealing to our senses. It's this imagery, right? So, you have... As they go into, actually right before they got there, there's this yellow beams, right?
Yeah,
yellow beam, golden light.
Yeah.
You've got Goldberry, right? And so they continue that, right? Talking about the table and how it's polished and that there were many candles, tall and yellow, burning brightly.
Yep.
So where's where we get that glow to kind of start, and it puts us in a good place. I think when I think of an enchanted setting, candles are there, man.
Absolutely.
That's why we got some candles out here today.
We do almost every time we podcast. Even in the middle of the day, we got candles going. It just helps the mood.
It does.
Gives you some life, dancing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Even those candles are so. What you see is this recurring theme of this almost just what's the word? Everything in this house is a shrine to Goldberry. Everything pays homage to her. The food they eat, the way it's decorated, even the candles being tall and yellow, burning brightly like her eyes. So then we get a description of her. We got to read this, right?
Yeah, read this, please.
Her long yellow hair rippled down her shoulders. Her gown was green as young reeds, shot with silver like beads of dew. And her belt was of gold, shaped like a chain of flag lilies, set with the pale blue eyes of forget-me-nots. About her feet in wide vessels of green and brown earthenware, white water lilies were floating, so that she seemed to be enthroned in the midst of a pool.
I was looking at that. I've been staring at that for a good minute now. What does that even look like?
I know, right, dude?
I
mean, and then you look into who that. Okay, that brings the natural question. What is Goldberry?
Yeah, exactly.
Who is Goldberry?
Exactly.
And apart from knowing that she is the river daughter, She's an enigma, much like Tom Bombadil that we'll learn. He's
absolutely.
She's a river spirit.
Yeah,
from the river Withywindle. So wow, she's magical, dude. She's magical.
She absolutely
as we
is.
go on through this chapter, you kind of see how she's this spirit. She's an ethereal being. She's not she's almost like I don't know, flesh and blood and spiritual. She's like both. She walks both worlds. It's crazy.
She does. Yeah, I know.
She's wild, man.
I know. This chapter is one of those that we probably could do 3 podcasts on it. We honestly could just take 3 different episodes and really break it down because there's so much stuff in this.
So much.
I feel like we're not going to do it justice today, but
we will.
We give it a go. We'll give it a go.
Our uppers will fill it in for us.
Really?
They'll bring up stuff that we had to skip over, or maybe we missed that we didn't see. So yeah. And anyway, they're and immediately they're they take a few timid steps forward into the room. They began to bow low. They felt surprised and strangely awkward, like folk knocking at a cottage door, begging for a drink of water, having been answered by a fair young elf queen clad in living flowers. So I imagine them like teenage boys around a beautiful woman.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah.
What do we do here? What do we do here?
Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous and she's magical, and so like how I feel with my wife every day.
Yeah.
So even the way she moves, she springs lightly and laughs. She's like the river. She's like a little bubbly brook.
Well, the sounds. I mean, all the when she moves, like you said, like the rustling of leaves and stuff, and it just sounds like, and
they end up just watching her, which makes sense. I mean, she's just like this thing to behold.
What are you gonna do?
Right. And you're seeing why a guy like Tom just is totally obsessed with her and falling in love with her. She says, "Come on in," takes Frodo by the hand. "Laugh and be merry. I am Goldberry, daughter of the river. Let us shut out the night," she says.
Yeah, for you are still afraid, perhaps, of mist and tree shadows and deep water and untamed things. Fear nothing, for tonight you are under the roof of Tom Bombadil. I mean, man,
what a welcome.
And you're right. It's like you do feel like you're just in the presence of something, cerebral, something, or
totally.
Celestial.
Celestial, yes, right.
So like if you feel like it's, I don't know, this experience is just, it's kind of mind blowing for all of them. And I mean, you're right. I mean, he's able to just finally say, "Fair Lady Goldberry,"
yeah. And it takes a while.
And then he has to say it again.
I know.
It's like,
I know. And he's the only one He's the only one with the courage to even say anything too. I mean, or maybe just he's able to break out of that just stupor that they're in. They're just like, oh my god, their jaws are on the floor. This is just a crazy, weird, beautiful, mesmerizing realm they've just entered. It's kind of cool because they talk about Goldberry here. Frodo felt enchanted as if by some elven spell, but he says it's less keen and lofty.
Yeah.
Deeper and nearer to mortal heart. So marvelous and yet not strange. So that to me, and I think maybe that's why we feel so drawn to Goldberry. And I've gone on record. Elves kind of freak me out a little bit. They're a little too smart. They're a little too all powerful. They're just too up there, man. They're too angelic, right? I need something a little with some humanity. And so we kind of get that feeling with her, that she's someone that's even more appealing because she is more grounded. She's a spirit of the earth.
Yeah, nearer to the mortal heart.
Yeah, not from somewhere else, not something, so she's both. She's celestial and like, I don't know.
Walking between these two worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much like a river.
Yeah.
Cuts 2 pieces of land in half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jamie.
Amazing. A beauty altogether appealing to hobbits. It's also kind of ironic, I guess, considering that hobbits are afraid of water, right? And she's a river daughter, but I guess little rivers are okay. So
yeah,
that's
right.
That's all right. So. And then there's another note here: the slender grace of her movement fills them all with delight. So just like even just seeing her walk around, they're just like they feel very safe. I think there with her.
They do for sure.
Yeah.
Now, where does this part come in? I'm looking at your notes. Where he calls her, she calls him elf friend.
Yes. Okay. So he
that's pretty cool. I didn't remember that actually.
He recounts some of this song. So he, stammers and says, "Fair Goldberry, now the joy that was hidden in the songs we heard is made plain to me." And he sings some of that, a little excerpt from Tom's song, right? And he's like, well, now we know what he was talking about.
Right.
And then she says, "Welcome, I had not heard that folk of the Shire were so sweet-tongued." So she's complimenting Frodo. So Frodo's probably like, "Oh my gosh.
Oh, God, what I do?"
But I see you are an elf friend. The light in your eyes and the ring in your voice tells it. This is a merry meeting. Sit now and wait for the master of the house. He will not be long tending your beasts.
Man.
So very interesting.
That is awesome.
So guys, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know this. So please, someone enlighten me if you guys know. Mm-hmm. I mean, is Frodo part elven? Is it because of Bilbo's connection with the elves and his connection? It's like touched by an elf kind of thing that he has this. Once you're that close, or because he's bearing this ring, maybe, and he's part of this massive quest that he is elevated. It's just so interesting how people
it is.
And like Gildor, didn't Gildor even recognize him as an elf friend? He said, "You're an elf friend."
Well, I think a lot of that, in previous chapters, he was obviously speaking to the dwarves on their way through, and he was speaking to these elves. He was always with Bilbo when Bilbo was meeting with him too.
Right.
So I think some of that might have actually
by
come
association. It just kind of rubs off.
I like the idea and the thought that like maybe there's some more. There's something in his heritage. There's something.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, his parents were drowned or what have you. There's something there. There's some mystery there.
Yes, and I like that it's a mystery too.
It's left to be, up to the imagination.
Exactly.
So,
and then also you got to wonder, like, maybe too, is it just some kind of form of destiny? Is he just destined to do this, and because he is, well, he must be obviously, but because he is, that shines through him, comes out in his voice. When you meet someone, you're just like, there's something different about that person, like. And I think we all have different people that connect to us that way. You're like, there's a light in their eyes, there's a ring in their voice.
Absolutely.
There's just something about them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
we
what
all
I
have
thought
people
when
in
I
our
first
life.
met you. I mean,
he doesn't say stuff like that off the air.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
It's all for show.
No, dude, that's how I see you, man. I mean, honestly, there's few people like that in this life that you find, but I don't know. When you do, it's a magical thing.
It is.
I'm stammering right now, just looking at you.
You are. That's fine. So we want a little just oh, slender as a willow wand. Clear than clear water.
Get it. Come on.
Oh, read by the living pool, fair river daughter. Oh, springtime and summertime and springtime. Yeah, all of that.
You did it way better than me.
No, actually, we had it like
Ez was feeling this song
earlier.
Yeah,
we were doing.
Oh my gosh.
Who were we listening to? Chris Stapleton.
Man, he was. I think you were possessed there for a second with the spirit of Stape.
But I think
pretty good.
Yeah, he like several times here you'll see like they break out into song, and I think later on too. Is there more songs?
Eventually what happens? We're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but at dinner, one of the nights it says that singing became simpler than speaking.
That's right.
So it's like.
Because that's actually how Tom just speaks to them in a very sing-songy, way. It's almost like, I don't know. And we were talking, we think it's silly sometimes. We almost wonder if it's more serious. If it's more of a
Totally. And okay. Well, yeah.
Gosh, we'll get there.
Yeah. Okay. I did have a little cool, I won't take time to read it every time we come across it, but throughout this entire chapter, I said earlier, it's Tom's house is like a shrine to the woman he loves. Low, rush-seated chairs, clean stone like you'd find in a river, green hanging mats and yellow curtains, floor flagged and strewn with fresh green rushes, white blankets and green slippers. Even the food they eat, yellow cream and honeycomb, white bread, butter, milk, cheese, green herbs, and ripe berries. Everything in this house, everything Tom does goes back to the woman he loves. Like he's obsessed with the love of his life, and it's so cool to see how he honors her in everything. Like just time and time again, these motifs of the colors that make her up. Like, and she's got that green dress on, and her hair is golden, and her
it's
eyes
even in the food that he gathers too. And
exactly,
stuff, You're
exactly.
right. You're right.
It's amazing. So everything is for him or for her. Sorry, I just read that Tom. When Tom comes in, we hear him singing about himself.
Oh, I know.
The dude sings about himself.
Yeah.
He's saying, "Old Tom Bombadil is a merry fellow. Bright blue his jacket is, and his boots are yellow."
Yeah, but I mean, what's neat is that they catch these a merry dole, a dairy dole, just here's and there's, sort of like a merry dole and dairy dole.
He's just so happy.
Yeah,
he's such a happy spirit, or
whatever,
whatever he is.
Yeah,
we can get on that too.
Ring a ding dilly-o.
Old Tom Bombadil.
So yeah, he's we catch him singing about himself and different things, but Goldberry then starts to kind of talk about that basically that you're safe here, and Frodo says, "Tell me, if my asking does not seem foolish, who is Tom Bombadil?"
Who is he?
And we get that right away. So that's been guys, I've been on a journey for years trying to figure out who Tom Bombadil is.
Yeah.
And can we speculate now? Or?
I mean, I find it very interesting. This might be okay, but this is what it's all about, guys. I feel safe with you, and that takes a while to feel safe with someone, to be able to throw crazy ideas out there and know that people aren't gonna make fun of you or think, oh, that's ridiculous. Look on page 49 of the whatever book of Lost Red Tales. Okay, whatever. It's all about perspective and taking from that. So he's when she asks who he is, she says he is, and then she pauses. And so my mind goes to, like, I have on a note here, he is very much like I am. Mm-hmm. And I think about the Hebrew God, Yahweh. Yeah. I am. The great I am.
Absolutely.
And so it's just kind of an interesting thing that she pauses there, and it's probably insignificant, but my mind went to, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a seed planted there that sort of informs, information you hear later about Tom throughout this chapter. I mean, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Is he God? I don't know. He's pretty old. He remembers everything, and he was the witness to all of it, and he's singing all the time.
Right. Yeah. I want you to read. Read this name for me, if you know. Like, is it? Do you know how to read that?
Iluvatar.
Iluvatar. Yeah.
Iluvatar. So is this your theory?
I've heard people say it different ways, and different things. I don't know, man.
Okay.
I'm with you when I hear them say that, and
it's just interesting. Tolkien he was very careful with his words, and then of course he goes on. She goes on to say, "He is as you have seen him."
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Wow. He is the master of the wood, water, and hill.
Yeah.
Master.
Yeah.
Master.
He's the master, and I originally kind of thought, is he one of the Valar? Is he a Maiar? Is he, something sort of like the Istari? Just because of the...
Or is he his own thing?
Or is he his own thing? Or is he's... it's sort of the idea that when you look at... I just use my own, like our own... familiar with the Christian faith anyways, and kind of talk about just the idea that God would create something and then want to walk in it and be in it.
Yep.
Right? And then almost get to the point where it's like you create something that's so, I don't know, like you fall in love with it.
Yep.
And so one of his creations is Goldberry. And it's right? I mean, it's like, and it's just like,
I mean, if he remembers the first raindrop, then he remembers the first river.
Yeah.
And he remembers the spirit of that river, and then he would of course remember the daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's almost like when you look into the histories and they first start singing their songs with Iluvatar and the other Valar and the Maiar are like singing together, and you've got is it Melkor? I think Morgoth later is like the one who sings Discord and stuff. But this song that came to be that this all turned into, it's just sort of like, I honestly have been thinking about who is Tom Bombadil, and the reason I kind of, when I was a youngster, just read this and thought, he's just this cool, quirky
goofy
guy.
Kind of,
right? Until I get to the council later, and they bring him up, and I told you this before we even started the podcast. It was one of my most what?
Doesn't
let me go back.
Call him peculiar, like a strange. He's a strange, just.
He does, guys, and we will get there. And when we get to that chapter, we will reference this chapter again because Gandalf even says, like, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the power that he has here and stuff and his dominion, but he almost is like, it's just a trifle to him. It's just, it doesn't really.
He laughs.
He laughs this off. The ring and its power and stuff is insignificant.
And here's the
Tom Bombadil.
Yes, and here's the other thing. You talk about the singing, and that stuff is all new to me. I haven't gotten into the Silmarillion. I'm a Hobbit. I love the trilogy, so I've just kind of stayed there where it's safe. You know what I mean? With in my armchair, with my doilies and everything. And So that's interesting to hear.
It's new to me too, by the way, buddy.
Well,
so
I know, but it's cool because you're teaching me too through this, and we're all learning from each other, and it's awesome because when I hear that, I think of I think I said this last chapter whenever we talked about it. I think of Aslan.
Yes.
In Chronicles of Narnia, singing the world into creation. There's all these theories about when the world was started, or when time, whatever, as we know it began. Yes. It was like an orchestra. It was like a song, a piece of music, and so okay, Tom is always singing. Right. And you could say, oh, well, that's, a lot of characters are always singing. Elves are always singing, and dwarves are always singing, and hobbits are singing. But those are like songs that are kept within a certain amount of time.
Right. They start and stop.
They start and stop.
Yeah.
Tom wanders. He is a wanderer, and I have it written down here later too that we'll talk about. He wanders in and out of song. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know. Like, it's almost like he's not conscious of when he's singing and when he's speaking. It's something that flows for him. Much like a river flows.
Yes.
But it's just it's such a part of who he is.
Yeah. He's in and out of song.
Yes.
I mean, I'd say he's in song more than he's out of it.
Right.
He's so,
and
it just fits.
And it comes up later too, like the hobbits are like, oh, we're singing. Didn't even realize it. And he infects others to, or not infects, that's a negative connotation. He inspires others to sing as well.
Yep.
So that's interesting. That's unlike any other race in Middle Earth, I think.
Yeah,
I think you could say that. Elves have songs, that start and stop. Dwarves have songs that are even more, start and stop. Hobbits have, their drinking songs. There's a definite punchline at the end, right? There's a purpose for that song.
Well, there's an appreciation by Goldberry of Frodo's singing and songs.
Yes.
And you'll see it later in the council as well. There's another mention of like, let's assess Mr. Bilbo's singing and his song work and his craftsmanship, and things. So it's fun. It's kind of built around that.
Cool,
so
man.
It's neat. But
this is so fun.
I could literally spend another 5-10 minutes on it. But
let's keep working it because we're gonna get more. Yeah.
As it comes up, I'll mention it again. So
again, like guys, in terms of sheer pages, I always remembered this chapter being longer.
Right. And
in terms of sheer pages, there's nothing. Like, it's what, 10 pages?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or 11, to think of how much Tolkien gets established here. And that amount of, and it's so funny because you always hear, oh, he's so wordy. He rambles on forever. I like, the older I get, the more I think that's the exact opposite. What he accomplishes, the economy of language that he uses is unbelievable. When you read Tolkien, you get you get the bang for your buck.
You do. You really do.
It's like unbelievable to think about what he accomplishes in the amount of time or sheer like number of words, especially when the word was so important to him. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So let's sit down at the table here for a little bit because they had to go get cleaned up, right? So
yes.
She's more attention to detail, I think, than
she's typical wife, right?
Yeah.
I mean, typical woman who just like the man doesn't even, she's like, they might want to get freshened up here. They might want to get cleaned up, Tom. He goes, oh yeah, duh. All right. Right. Before that, even though she makes an interesting comment on when Frodo asks who he is. She says he's the master of the wood. So Frodo says, so all this strange land belongs to him. And she says, no, that'd be indeed a burden. She added in a low voice as if to herself. Interesting.
Right.
The trees and the grasses and all things growing or living in the land belong each to themselves.
Right.
Tom Bombadil is the master. No one has ever caught old Tom walking in the forest, wading in the water, leaping on the hilltops under the light and shadow. He has no fear. Tom Bombadil is master. And you'll have to check me on this, but I'm pretty sure that from now on, when Frodo addresses him, he only calls him master, which is also very interesting.
Are you serious?
I think. Like, double check me as we go along.
Yeah,
but every time that he doesn't talk to him very often. It's mostly just questions that he asks.
Yeah.
And then Tom does a bunch of talking.
I think you're right.
I think it's just he calls him master.
Goodness gracious.
Which is interesting. It's very also kind of like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, if you look at like the syntax of the way he Tolkien writes this too, like you said, at first he is, and then he has no fear. I mean, they're very short and direct. He has no fear.
Right.
Tom Bombadil is master. It's a very change in the way the sentence complexity. It's simplified, but there's
so much there.
It's because the complexity just literally goes boom in your mind. It's like, whoa, wait, what is this?
Less is more.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also too, like the whole idea, and this is very Tolkien because this is what he believed. He believed that that nature and also this gives more evidence that Middle Earth is a creature, it is a character.
Yeah.
Right. Like even Tom, who we're learning he is the master. He's this whatever he is. We can speculate. The trees, the rivers, the woods don't belong to him. They belong to themselves. Right. They are their own thing. They are sacred.
Yeah.
Which is very important. And that was, he like we talked about before, he was so against industrialization and machines and internal combustion. So that reverence he had for nature is really just like, he's saying, hey, it's not even me just saying this, it's Tom.
Right.
Tom, the one who was here before all this, he values nature like that. So if he does, we probably should too.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yep. Absolutely.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. That's good. That's a good little. That's good for us to get into. So Tom comes in now. So Tom has walked in, and Goldberry, they've sang their songs to her, and she's told them about Tom.
Yep.
And he's like, "Let's eat," like you said, like let's eat.
Yeah.
And Goldberry says, "You're talking about, is it ready? Is everything ready?" He sees the stuff that's laid out too, doesn't he? There's food here. Let's see.
Yep.
I see yellow cream and honeycomb and white bread and butter, milk, cheese, green herbs, ripe berries gathered. Is that enough for us? Which I think is really kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we got these hobbits here.
Right. Yeah, he knows.
I know about these fellers.
He knows about the hobbits. Yeah.
So is supper ready?
Supper ready, yeah.
And sure it is, Tom, but our guests aren't ready yet, like you had said. So I love that you said it. He talks to himself. Tom, your guests your guests are tired.
Yeah.
And you had near forgotten. Come now, merry friends, and Tom will refresh you. You shall clean grimy hands and wash your weary faces, cast off your muddy cloaks, and comb your tangles.
Yeah. And see, I had forgotten about this part. We were talking before about their bath at Crick Hollow.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, it's probably won't be they probably won't have a bath until Rivendell. But that was like yesterday.
Yeah, no.
They had a bath yesterday, but they've gone through a lot of crap since then.
They have.
They almost died. So
right after this,
it's been a while.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but they get this refreshment. It's interesting too. The bath was a big deal before, and it was like this whole long piece, and it's almost like, hey, we've done that, so we'll just they're gonna get a bath, and we'll focus on other things here. We're not gonna spend a lot of time on that again. We also see here. So I was reading this aloud to Sarah, and it's been a long time since I've read this chapter. Yeah. Been a long time. So this, when we say this is a reread for us, we're catching things it feels like for the first time.
Yeah.
And we see when he leads them back, they go through their room. There are 4 deep mattresses, each piled with white blankets, laid on the floor along one side. Against the opposite wall was a low bench laden with wide earthenware bases, and beside it stood brown ewers filled with water, some cold, some steaming hot. There were soft green slippers set ready beside each bed. And I was reading it to her, and I didn't really think much of it. And she just goes, wait, was he expecting them? And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's why you're my Goldberry.
That's right.
Are they ready to eat? They might need to, wash up first. I'm sitting here going, oh yeah, of course the slippers are there. And she goes, wait, was he expecting them? Light bulb.
Yeah.
Duh. Yes,
he was. I mean, he absolutely was. And the coincidence of having the 4 beds and all this stuff laid out. I mean, having 4, and
and because that was our biggest question at the end of last chapter was, did Frodo call him? Help, help, help. Right. Did he hear the cry? Was this just some sort of magical meeting where Providence kind of intervened, or the Valar direct. What was it? Was it? Did he hear them, or was he drawn to them? And so there are these little clues before we find out for sure from Tom of wow, okay. And the hobbits have to be sitting there going, that's interesting. 4 beds, 4 sets of slippers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So laying these little, like you've said before, laying breadcrumbs for the reader to go, aha.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Magical. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Okay. And before there's the next part here is where they start to kind of talk about they're refreshed, right? They come out, they have been washed, and now they're ready to sit down. And this drink. I love the detail that we have a drink that helped them get through. And
Mr. Upshaw needs this.
Yes, he does
with Lent.
He really does.
It's as cold as clear. It's seemed to be clear, cold water, but it went to the heart. It's just the way he words this too, man. I want this drink. It went to their hearts like wine and set free their voices.
Right.
So maybe a little enchantment there
There's
too.
something
Obviously,
in it. There's something
right.
in it.
Were they roofied? Were the hobbits roofied?
I don't know. I mean, from this point forward, I mean, it's already been kind of a haze and daze and and they're like looking around just nodding. I can just imagine them nodding their heads. And like, okay.
Right. Yeah.
And so
they're not even talking.
No.
It's amazing.
Right.
And maybe that's why the bath scene prior, it was like this big deal. They were singing, they're drinking, this was a different bath probably.
Right.
It was probably like,
imagine it was a silent bath.
Right.
Where they're just sitting there like
nothing to tell. Yeah. They're probably just like, what?
Under a spell. They're under
a spell.
Yeah.
Which is also, we talked about this a little bit too. Usually we don't discuss the chapter before. We want to like have all our reactions pretty organic on the reread, right?
Right.
But we did have a little bit, we talked a little bit and we said some of this, we kind of wondered how Peter Jackson would have done it.
Yeah.
And we kind of were like, he may have played up the whole spooky aspect of a spell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're under a spell, but it's, and I don't know. You could go to a creepy side of that for sure.
You could. I mean,
like this is Tom good? Is he bad? What's he? Like
because
what
I'll
is
tell
this enchantment all about?
Absolutely. The way I imagine it in my mind, especially during this reread, is there's all this singing, and it seems like Tom and Goldberry are like moving around very quickly, like not quickly, but yet
they're in and out.
Like they're doing this and that, and the hobbits are just standing there,
right?
And like watch, almost like their heads moving side to side, up and down, nodding their heads, looking.
It's almost kind of like a fairy tale.
Yes, and they're just sort of there, but they're being taken care of.
Yes,
and then they're eating like only famished hobbits can. There was no lack.
Yeah. They're not being mistreated. No,
not at all.
Not even close.
So,
but it's just different. We haven't seen the hobbits like this.
No, we haven't
yet. We haven't seen them sort of beside themselves, and they are.
Yeah.
Right. So that drink sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. So, but the guests were then. Yeah. So here we go. They clear the table. So at last, we're good.
Yeah.
The guests were commanded to sit quiet.
Yeah.
And were set in chairs, each with a footstool to his tired feet.
Yeah.
The word commanded, though.
I know, and I made a point of that too. I was like, commanded.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's almost like
you did. Yes.
It's almost like a mother and father, and they're very childlike in this.
Yeah.
The childlike quality of these hobbits come out. Or maybe, I don't know, just the powerful nature of Goldberry and Tom. Commanded to sit down. They're led around everywhere. It was also interesting too. After they had that drink, to backtrack just a second, the guests became suddenly aware that they were singing merrily as if it was easier and more natural than talking. Did we say that already?
We might have said that, but it's okay. Yeah,
but it was like they didn't even realize that they were singing.
Right.
It was easier to do that than to and more natural.
Yeah.
To speak. And so you're right. Yeah, they're commanded to sit down. Not in a bad place though. I mean, they got a fire going, smells of applewood. I mean, take me there, bro. Give me that drink, sit me down. I'm good for that.
Absolutely.
That'd be nice.
So we're now commanded to sit down, and what happens next here? So have peace, she said, until morning. Whoa! What happened before that though? That's pretty much they're just sitting there, just chilling out.
It's very interesting too because the light kind of changes, right?
Yeah,
we've got a fire, and then
there's one lamp,
and 2 pair of candles. So that's the number 3 again. If you don't count the fireplace, that's 3.
Right.
In a couple paragraphs here, we have 3 dreams. One of those dreams is so I'm reaching here, obviously, but this is just a connection like I'm feeling. A lamp is brighter than 2 candles, right? One of those dreams is kind of more powerful than the other 2. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Well, are they just sitting in chairs like recliners about to go to sleep here? Not even their beds yet?
Not even their beds.
This is just a comfy, like it's almost like this room is full of like aroma and you could just imagine like incense and stuff like
like we are right here.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. A little darker.
And she tells them, so, have peace until morning. Heed no nightly noises, for nothing passes door and window, here save moonlight and starlight and the wind of the hilltop.
Because they're still in a scary place. The old forest is a scary place, so she's trying to put them at ease. Again, like a mom.
Yeah,
it's very motherly.
Yep.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. So sleep gathers on their eyelids, and they So Tom sat on a while beside them in silence, which we don't get Tom. I mean, in silence a whole lot.
Right,
I mean,
right.
So. while each of them tried to muster the courage to ask one of the many questions he had meant. So really, she's just saying goodnight, and she's leaving.
She's leaving.
Yeah.
Yep. They're kind of sitting by the fire.
They're just,
relaxing.
Okay.
But they all want to ask these questions, right?
Right.
And then the only one who, and they're starting to get really sleepy. It says sleep gathered on their eyelids, and at last Frodo spoke. So he's asking, they all had questions they wanted to ask because obviously they had a lot of questions they needed answered.
Right.
And then Frodo asks, did you hear me calling Master? Again, Master. Or was it just chance that brought you at that moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Tom's almost kind of in a dream here. Like it says, he stirred like a man shaken out of a pleasant dream. Eh? What?
Right.
Said he. Did I hear you calling? Nay, I did not hear you. I was busy singing. Just chance brought me then, if chance you call it.
Right.
Okay, what does that mean? That's kind of interesting in and of itself. He's saying, do you call it chance? Is it something? I don't know. That's interesting. It was no plan of mine, though I was waiting for you. We heard news of you and learned that you were wandering. We guessed you'd come ere long down to the water. All paths lead that way, down to Withywindle. Old gray willow man, he's a mighty singer, and it's hard for little folk to escape his cunning mazes. So there you go. That was an answer that was to one of our questions too.
It was.
So he's almost kind of, Frodo asked one question, he's kind of answering all of them. One of our questions was, is something divine redirecting these paths? Is it the forest itself? And he pretty much just says that's the old willow man. But he was the one directing these paths.
I think one of my questions in the previous chapter was, would old willow man have killed them? And it sounds like there's mazes down there, and would he actually have done that, or is it just sort of like and he's almost toying with them?
Yes, or is it more fun for him to torture them?
Ooh.
Than to kill them?
It's getting a little dark.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Tom goes on to talk about that, and I just thought of that right now as you're saying that.
Yeah.
Tom goes on to talk about the malice that the trees have towards, towards really anything that's not a part of them. Yeah. So maybe you're right. He could have killed him easily.
Right. Yeah.
And so maybe it was to either play with them and toy with them, or even maybe just kind of to put them in distress. And really, I mean, if you're having fun with that, that is kind of torture, isn't it? If someone's in distress, and you're like having fun with it.
Yeah.
That's torture, dude.
Yeah.
But Tom had an errand there. Again, talking about himself in the third person.
Yeah, I know. But his errand this is neat. I mean, he's master, but yet it's almost like, I wonder if this was like an anniversary time thing for him. It is, but essentially it's when he met, his fair Goldberry.
Yep.
And he goes back to this spot and he gathers these lilies, these white lilies, which, in the last chapter it was like, make sure we don't,
don't mess those up.
He set them down gingerly, like, this is the reason I was going down there, boys,
And it's interesting too, because he says, it's chance if you call it, but then we learn here in that next, and it's interesting how we get this sudden glint of blue in his eyes when something magical is about to be revealed or something special is happening, right? It seems like this happens a few times, and he makes special, Tolkien makes special note that we catch that glint of blue. We learn here that the timing of it is definitely there's a touch of destiny there.
I just noticed that.
Yeah, because he was like, it proved well for you. I was going down there regardless. But this was the last time. I was going down there, and I won't be going back until the spring. So if they had been a couple days later, earlier, I guess it wouldn't have mattered. But if their timing would have been off, maybe either way, he might not have been there to help them.
Well, and that makes me think about the idea that Gandalf is sort of later on kind of says, guys, Tom's on his own schedule.
Right.
He I mean, it's not what he says, but it's essentially the gist of it is that
which is a lot like Gandalf.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his own concerns. He's got his own things that he's worried about. And so he's almost caught up in his own cycle here of worshiping Goldberry, maybe.
Yeah.
He being the maybe creator, worshiping his own works. I mean, and lost in it, right? I mean, that get a little dark, but I mean, that could be...
No, that
could be something, right? Isn't that
crazy? I see
a
glint of blue in your eyes.
Right? Is that
something magical about to happen?
I don't know, man.
You have very Tom Bombadil eyes, Ez.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That.
You could have said the same about me, but so just kidding. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting. This timing that's magical. There's something. There is a higher power, and he says, do you want to call it? It was by chance, if chance is what you want to call it, or maybe we could call it something else. Maybe we could call it divine timing. Maybe we could call it some sort of destiny.
It makes you think, like half of me thinks that he is the creator. The other half of me, that he's very up there, like the,
right. He's just a spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
But not necessarily the creator.
Right.
Maybe. He's just gotten carried away.
And doesn't that sound like it? Doesn't that kind of sound like a creator thing to do though?
Yeah.
Like I created this, but and
he's gone a little.
Maybe if you realize it,
go little, and he's
so old that he appears strange to us.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
Man, it's so interesting, dude.
It is.
There really is no. I mean, the cool thing about him is you can throw out the craziest ideas, and they don't really seem that crazy.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Because he's just we're given that permission to imagine and
we are
speculate and wonder with him. So
we are.
Yeah.
So right after that, they Frodo, he's got one more question. Something, and you're right. He says, "Tell us, Master." Right again. You're right. You might be right about this.
Yeah.
About the Willow Man. What is he? I have never heard of him before. And then Mary, "No, don't," said Mary, and put them together, sitting suddenly upright. "Not now. Not until the morning."
Right.
That is right," said the old man. Now, said the old man. Now is the time for resting. Some things are ill to hear when the world's in shadow. Sleep till the morning light. Rest on the pillow.
So we have this recurring, idea again that some things are ill to hear while the world's in shadow. He just said so that follows what we've heard Gandalf.
That's right.
Remember they saved that conversation about the ring and the shadow of the past for the day.
Yep.
And then it's also kind of playing off that idea that, we need to get indoors before we talk about this. It's the same kind of thing. Like there are certain things you should save for certain times.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know what, man? I think we need more of that.
Yeah.
I think that's an old concept that because we're so instant now and, I'm so freaking ADHD.
Yeah.
It's such a damn problem for me.
Yeah. There you go.
That, that would be good for us, I think. Now is not the time for that. There is a time for that, but maybe not now. Maybe not at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Witching hour.
It almost, I guess for us, it reminds me of like an older time when, when things were, said in either private company or public company. You just had to, depending on where you're at, your audience, just the way in which you spoke and things changed.
A little more intentionality.
Yes. Yeah. Versus just a free-for-all.
Right.
But
say whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah. All right.
So now we get into the dreams, don't we?
Yes, we do. They
lie down and again, they've got blankets made of white wool, which is, probably like an honor to Goldberry's beautiful skin, whatever. It's all paying tribute to her. So we have 3 dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Frodo has a dream. Pippin has a dream. Mary has a dream. Mm-hmm. You want to get into this?
Yeah, let's get into it a little bit.
Okay.
Frodo starts to he sees this a young moon rising under its thin light. There loomed before him a black wall of rock, pierced by a dark arch like a great gate. It seemed to Frodo that he was lifted up, and passing over, he saw that the rock wall was a circle of hills, and that within it was a plain. And in the midst of the plain stood a pinnacle of stone, like a vast tower, but not made by hands. On its top stood the figure of a man. The moon, as it rose, seemed to hang for a moment above his head and glisten in lost my spot here. And glisten in his white hair. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as the wind stirred up. So I think we kind of this is one that we know. You said from context, right?
And
what this is. Mm-hmm. So is it a dream then?
Dude, and that was I wanted to hear your thoughts on this.
Wait, did you say that in your notes? I'm not even looking at your notes. But
I actually haven't been either. Let me see what I say here. I just said it's well. Keep going. Keep going.
Well, my question is, is it a dream?
Right.
Is he dreaming? Like, well, I guess you have to get into the nature of dreams. What are they?
Right. It's almost like this.
He's seeing something.
Like this telepathic. Like I don't know. Like
he's there. He's seeing what's actually happening.
Right. He's transported to this this actual event. It's not a dream. It's not interpretive. It's what's actually going on.
Right. Yeah. Because
further proof that he's an elf friend.
Yeah.
Right. Because his dream is something that is as much is a lamp compared to the 2 candles of the other dreams.
Yes.
It's a brighter light. It's more important. It's something that's actually happening.
Yeah, for our deep and sweaty fans, or our listeners who are gonna like make note of that, you said 2 candles, and those 2 like the lights. The idea that in the histories here, like the different lights that sort of the towers and So wow, I'm just now like putting some of this stuff in my head like together. That's awesome. Good, because you're right. He says suddenly a shadow like the shape of great wings passed across the moon.
Yep.
And so all this stuff is we find out later, what happens to Gandalf, and he tells the story. So again, we said when we're doing this reread, hopefully you've seen the movies, or you at least have, and
immediately
to reread us. So
as I'm reading this and I see the wings, I'm like, I read the part about the wings, I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I go to that moment in the films that is so powerful. Yeah. And it even says a mighty eagle swept down and bore him away. The voices wailed and the wolves yammered.
Yeah. Suddenly a shadow like the shape of great wings passed across the moon. Yeah. What is this part here? The figure lifted his arms and a light flashed from the staff that he wielded. Who is that?
Is that Gandalf?
Or is that...
Is he signaling Gwaihir? Or I don't know. Is it...
Because I'm a little saturated sometimes with movieisms and how things happen.
Well, you're right, because in the movie, Saruman was up there.
Right.
So in the books, I mean, they've only talked about one individual up there, one man.
That's right.
And so they didn't say there was someone else. And they're saying his arms. So I'm guessing it's Gandalf, right? It's got to be.
Okay.
But you're right, because in the movie it's different. Yeah.
Well, and actually, in the movie doesn't make. How does he get his staff back? Like they don't ever explain that.
Right. But that's a good point.
So, anyways, but there's and then there's this bit about Black Riders too, right?
Very interesting.
So he hears that, and those are always kind of haunting his.
We haven't had to deal with them for a while,
right?
It's been a while, so
yeah. All right, yeah. So he lay motionless, still listening, but all was now silent, and at last he turned and fell asleep again, or wandered into some other unremembered dream,
which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But we don't know what else he dreams about, or what that unremembered dream, what that even means.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
And then interesting too how he, this confronts him with that. Oh yeah, okay. I've almost forgotten about all my problems and the reason we're here. And okay, right. Am I going to be able to leave this place when the time comes? It's almost like the same kind of feeling he had in Crick Hollow, just even stronger. It seems like, Crick Hollow, he was like, gosh, I wish I was really staying here. And then now he's here in the House of Tom, and he's like, am I going to be able to leave? This is what I'm going back into. Yep. Those Black Riders are still out there, and my task isn't done yet. So interesting.
So what is this, though? I mean, that's my...
I don't know, dude.
But because...
is this happening this night?
Why does he have this ability, or... what is this for?
Touched by an elf.
Here's the thing. Is it his proximity to Tom Bombadil? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's great...
Maybe, right?
I didn't even think about that. Maybe
we always think it's the elf friend connection and it's these different things, but these dreams, could be
right. Maybe he's like illuminating Frodo even more. Maybe he's allowing him to tap into this, like this third person thing where he's almost an out of body experience, witnessing what's going on, a godlike consciousness.
Who else in this, by the way, in this series, like speaks in third person like this about themselves?
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know.
We haven't got there, but I don't think anyone else does.
And there's that number again as 3.
Well, does Gollum? I mean,
he does. Well, he's
Schmeagol, kind of
dual personality,
right?
Kind of
That's
thing.
a little different.
But third person, and again, there's that idea 3.
Right. Yeah.
Very interesting.
It is very interesting.
3 dreams. 2 candles and 1 bright light. 3. It's just crazy.
Yeah, well, the idea of being omnipresent and things like that, and all of that, that's what you're...
and wandering in and out and dancing between 2 worlds. And
yeah.
I don't know, Ez. That's a great question. I'd almost go with that. I'd say, like, because of his, like you said, proximity to Tom. Maybe it's something about the house, too. Just that we see, as we go on
to... Because, what's the purpose of it? Is it he has a dream and he's supposed to go, what, help? Or what information does it give him? See, it doesn't seem to really give him a whole lot.
No.
It just sort of, it opens us, maybe it was Tolkien's way to kind of say, this is also happening at the same time.
Sure.
For a reference.
More of a literary device.
Yeah, just something
or story narrative device.
Pinpoint something for us, because later on we hear about it. It's like, oh, okay, that's why they were dreaming about it, and that was happening at the same time that they're at Tom's house. You know,
and I think that we forget too because we know what's going to happen. I wish we could go back and have never read this before.
I know.
Like a reread is cool, but I and have never seen the movies because as a reader reading this for the first time, you're still wondering what the hell happened to Gandalf.
I know.
Where the hell is he?
Right, and you might not actually get that. Wow, that looked like that hurt.
It's good. Is the mic okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Bad boy.
But you're right, because what else could this be? You know what I mean? We don't. If you didn't know it was an escape or whatever, it could be so many different things.
Do we know? We haven't had a description of Isengard yet. We don't know about Orthanc.
Yeah.
So maybe the eagle reference would tap back into the Hobbit.
Right.
How eagles have saved people before, and
True.
specifically Gandalf.
True that.
So that might be, if you're an astute, reader and you've read The Hobbit, you might go, oh, okay, well, that's who that could be. And there's a staff, and he's a man.
Yeah.
And there's an eagle. So,
yep.
But you're great point, dude. I didn't even think about that. That maybe that's with because of being in old Tom's house, the master himself.
Yeah.
So interesting. And then Pippin's and Merry's. I've been comparing them their three dreams to the three lights because Frodo's seems more elevated. It's a lamp that Goldberry had, and then there were these two candles. So they were also significant dreams, but they were more kind of immediate and playing on their fears. So Pippin's is about Old Man Willow, right? Kind of feeling like he's reaching into the house. So when he was swallowed up by Old Man Willow, right. Merry was only half in, so he was pretty freaked out. But Pippin for sure thought he was going to die. So it makes sense that he would have this dream. And they're still in an enchanted place. I mean, is that Old Man Willow still influencing his fears? I don't know. I mean, they say that Tom is the master, but they still have, they still have powers. He still has powers. He's a very powerful Hjorn.
Where do you direct your power to as Tom? It just sort of seems like he's got his own, cycle of things that he's doing, and
sure.
And so it's like he
tells
a
dream
them,
could sneak in there.
But his words sing-songy words carry so much weight because it reminds Pippin here. He remembered. He seemed to hear the echo of words in his ears.
Yeah.
Fear nothing.
Right.
Have peace until morning. Heed no nightly noises.
Yeah.
They knew they would hear things. They knew.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe like they.
But don't fear.
Know what the effect of this house and the fact they would have on mortal beings.
Yeah.
And
so you're right. So it freaks him out. He's like, are there willows close? And then you're right. His fear is replaced with those words. And then he goes back to sleep, no problem. Yeah. So again, some enchantment there. I mean, just to hear those words and be put back to sleep. And then Merry's, he has a dream about this shoreless pool. So I was thinking like, he spent the whole previous day trying to lead them away from water. He wanted to keep them away from the river. That was his job, and he was the one tasked with kind of getting them through the old forest. Even Frodo was like, make sure that we get through here. All right, come on, man, you've been here before. And so in this dream, the water comes to him and finds him, and he's afraid he's going to drown.
Right.
And so that's kind of I kind of read it was like what he feared all day was finding him even in this place of safety, and it freaked him out. What do you think?
I was thinking about the he's from Buckland and the river folk too.
Right, that's true.
That's the whole other piece too. It's that makes sense. His might be attached to that.
Sure.
They're used to crossing, Buckleberry Ferry and different things. You know, so
but it's interesting too that his fear is drowning, but Bucklanders don't fear that as much.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
And so maybe drowning doesn't necessarily mean within water. Maybe he's feeling some other kind of. Maybe it was that burden of trying to get them through, or maybe knowing he still has to get them through the rest of the old forest. They're gonna have to leave. And that's going to be kind of on Merry a little bit too. What are you seeing? I see your eye. There's a glint of blue. Come on, man. Come on, Tom.
Again, I guess when you're picturing it, I mean, even if you think of like a Disney movie, I need to go back and watch the old animated Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings series to see, was this in that?
I don't know. I've never seen that.
I heard that it was cut out, actually. That it was cut out there. Tom Bombadil stuff.
Okay, you're right. I did that research. Tom Bombadil does not appear in the Bakshi film.
Right.
Does not appear in the 1981 radio dramatization on BBC, and obviously he wasn't in the trilogy.
Holy smokes.
No. And we'll talk about this later too, but I think that's like what a shame that Tolkien obviously thought enough of him to create this character, and then in almost every like adaptation we've had, it's like, oh, he's not really important enough.
Yeah, dude. So I was doing some research too, and I was reading up on when his editors and stuff, when they first sort of like looked at this, they said, "Oh, so Tom Bombadil is going to be like the hero." Like come back in and sort of do right. I mean,
and that's like, what you would think,
what?
Right?
Like,
it's almost kind of setting it up for this dude.
Yeah.
He's the perfect adversary of Sauron, right?
Right.
He would be the light to his darkness, kind of a deal.
And it was very intentional, I think, by him to say, "Yeah, I set this up. You would think that's what an author would do, blah blah blah." But it's all about the subtlety of these small. Right. Hobbits who are going to face this great danger. Exactly.
And it's because you would expect the most powerful to take on the most powerful.
Right.
What Tolkien wanted to do was...
It's unexpected.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the least of these. It's the ordinary people. Yeah. Like Gandalf's aside in the Hobbit films where he says, it's the ordinary folk every single day that keeps the darkness at bay.
That's right.
Because that gives hope to us.
It gives hope
to us because we're ordinary, normal folk. And to know that we have the power to defeat evil by doing good that's what the story is all about. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
I know, awesome stuff. Yeah. So now something interesting right at the end there is, as far as he could remember, Sam slept through the night.
I love this.
In deep content, if logs are contented.
And I love this because you would look at this, right? And people would probably go, oh, okay, well, of course, Sam the simpleton doesn't have a dream. He's not simple. He's pure.
Yeah, come on.
He has nothing. He has nothing else to worry about.
Yeah.
He has nothing else haunting him. Sam is doing everything he needs to do.
Yeah.
His mission is clear. He knows what he has to do, and he has not faltered or failed once.
Yeah. He's not someone either, who was like longing for an unexpected journey or quest or things like
right.
that. So he's someone who just...
always fascinated by it, but it wasn't something that
There's a need.
Right.
And he realizes, right.
I
need to be the companion. I need to go a little further, with my friend.
And I think dude, okay, here you go again. And this would... it's just interesting because, like, Sam is the biggest hero in this story for me. I think that he is by far the reason everything good happens in the story.
Yeah.
But here again, we're talking about the most important dream is Frodo's, and then Merry and Pippin have dreams too, but Sam has nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the most unexpected hero.
Yes, you're right.
The one that legends are told.
I know.
Samwise the Brave.
I know, it's great. It's literally great.
It's amazing. So
they all wake up, all four at once.
Dude, they're like robots, man.
I know. So Tom's moving about. He's whistling, and they heard him stir. He clapped his hands and cried, "Hey, come, merry dole, my hearties." He drew back the yellow curtains, and the hobbits saw that these had covered the windows at either end of the room, one looking east and the other looking west. All right, so
and that makes me think. I don't know. Like I find it very inspiring, and I just feel like, dude, someday, as I want to make a Lord of the Rings podcast with you. It just makes me think that's looking to the east, looking to the west, new and what has yet to come, and also what will be. And I just think we've got to do it.
Dude, yeah.
The time is now. We have to do it. The most important thing is we got to get the name spot on. We got to get it just right.
Right.
Do you have any ideas?
Yeah.
Let's dream a little bit. Let's dream.
About Tom Bombadil in the House podcast.
Yeah. I like that one. I like that. Okay, and this is just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The Fatty Bumpkin podcast.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Bumping and grinding, kind of going along with the Tom Bombadil in the House.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right. Baggins Party of Four.
Oh, I like
Party
that.
of Four.
Yeah, kind of a Seinfeld type deal.
Yeah.
What about the Forced Perspective?
Yeah, that's great.
Can we do that kind of?
That's absolutely great.
It applies to everything within Middle Earth.
Yeah, feeling horny in podcast.
Whoa, feeling horny.
I thought I was gonna say in the morning.
Yeah, that could be good. We're getting close there.
We're getting close. It's good.
The music was a nice touch.
It was nice, and it
we've
was
been
very
wanting that for a while. It just.
That was very unexpected. I was looking in the book and not in your notes. So very unexpected. Good job.
I don't know what you're talking about. That comes from that's spontaneous.
We haven't started one yet. So
never planned out.
We'll get to it.
We will someday.
All right.
Until then, let's just get back to this. I thought it was interesting too how they woke up all at once. Very weird.
Yeah, they're well rested.
That doesn't happen in any other part of the story. Right. Remember, they're never waking up at the same time. It's always Pippin, and then it's Frodo and Fatty Bulger.
Oh, I do remember this. So I love this scene here where he runs to the window, and he found himself looking into the the kitchen garden, gray with dew. And I love whenever I see images of like dew and mist and fog. Like those are some of my favorite mornings, or I love
some mystery to the day.
I love that.
Yeah. And they start talking about the weather. Right?
They do.
And the description here is beautiful. It was a pale morning in the east, behind long clouds like lines of soiled wool stained red at the edges. How did he do this, man? I can envision these fluffy wool strung out clouds that have just that hint of a red sunrise around the edges.
Right.
Gosh. Lay glimmering deeps of yellow. The sky spoke of rain to come, but the light was broadening quickly, and the red flowers on the beans began to glow against the wet green leaves.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
It's
absolutely beautiful. And then you have Pippin. He's looking out the western window down into a pool of mist. The forest was hidden under fog. There was a fold or a channel where the mist was broken into, and you've got this it's down into the valley of the Withywindle, right? So the stream ran down the hill on the left and vanished into the white shadows.
So it feels like they're looking down on a cloud. So that's why we called this section "Breakfast in the Clouds." They feel like they're just kind of like sitting on this cloud.
Yeah, there was no willow tree to be seen.
Thank God.
So many willow references.
Note of that.
In the last chapter.
Yeah.
Something interesting too. There's string green beans.
Yeah.
I thought that was just really cool. Like this, you see these like their garden, right?
Yep. Pretty cool.
And you kind of forget sometimes that it's just like this, well tended garden there.
Right.
So they're getting all they're growing their food there.
And again, a food that kind of sort of pays homage to Goldberry.
Yeah.
The slender green, like the reeds on the river. Just so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no willow to be seen, thank goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. So, good morning, merry friends, cried Tom, opening the eastern window wide. A cool air flowed in. It had a rainy smell.
Yeah. I like that. I can smell that. You know what I mean? It's this time of year. That cold. It was this morning. That cold, rainy smell out there. That wet smell. Moist, if you will.
Oh my gosh. He was talking about how he was waking people up, and I wakened Goldberry singing under the window, but not wakes hobbit folk in the early morning.
Yeah. I was like, I in my notes here I said Tom rags on the hobbits for staying up.
Yeah.
Staying up late and sleeping in long, and lets them know that if they don't come quickly to breakfast, they'll have grass and rainwater.
Yeah.
Just joking with them, but the hobbits don't want to test him. They don't want to find out if that's true. So they they scurry off to breakfast there.
Yeah.
So they eat their breakfast without Goldberry and without Tom. They're at the
They're just kind of moving around, aren't they? Like
they're in and out.
They're doing their own thing, which goes back like when they first got there, same sort of thing. I mean, they're doing their own thing. Right. They're on their own.
They're on their own plane.
Isn't it different? It's very different from like Farmer Maggot, where you sit down and you're talking to them, and when you invite someone into your home, it's sort of like, I got to entertain, I've got to talk to them and carry on this conversation. But nope, they are about their business, and I don't know. You kind of have to fit into their ins and outs and doings and things.
They're not rescheduling their life for you.
No. It's just interesting. It just shows you this. They're there in this world, but not really.
Yeah. I know, it's amazing. Again, like going in between two worlds almost. They only left the table after it was starting to look rather empty, so they made sure they cleared up up breakfast there. Right. And then now we get all that rain that starts to come in. Oh, yeah, that's right. And they heard the clear voice of Goldberry singing up above them. Oh, there's another thing that I noticed.
Yeah.
There's all this recurring thing with Goldberry going from up to down, top to bottom, as like a river flows. Okay. Her voice. Where did I wrote it down somewhere. Let me.
You said you get these high to low motifs. She sings the rain into being.
Yeah. Yeah, top to bottom, and even the way she's when we first meet her, she's described. I mean, this happens a lot, but she's described from the top of her head, to her toes, all the way down, top to bottom. So
interesting,
kind of interesting. Maybe there's nothing there, but it was just interesting to notice that. And then also the mist and the fog. There's a switch here. Is used to heighten our paranoia and enclose or isolate us from knowledge before. And it shrouded our path. It kept us kind of claustrophobic a little bit previously. But now it's like a welcome change because it delays their departure.
That's right.
So all this rain starts happening. And long story short, Frodo's just like, sweet, we get to stay here another day. We're not leaving today. It's raining so hard.
Is that divine?
Sure.
Because if Goldberry is the one singing the rain into being,
right.
If they have control and dominion over this land,
right,
and it's just, I don't know, they could just say you're staying here,
right,
for another day, but it's almost just sort of like, yeah, exactly,
yeah.
It's like, yeah, we need the rain and we need this, and it's going to work for you guys too. So,
and we
send you out a day earlier, you'll be caught, and we can't have that, and
exactly.
Not really a huge deal. We could fix it, but
and so do they know? Are they buying time for them? Pretty much,
yeah.
And it is her washing day, right? Or week or whatever, however long it is.
Right.
But it's the whole timing is very interesting. Mm-hmm. Like if they arrive a week later, none of this happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very interesting.
If you guys have this version, by the way, the what is this one in the?
That's the Alan Lee illustrated. It's like an anniversary special
super
edition.
Awesome. Maybe we'll take a picture of this and post it. It's just it's a picture of his house.
It was really cool. I actually went on. So after I found that piece of Brandy Hall, I've been trying to look for just illustrations of different places that we're coming into, and there's a lot of stuff people have done with Tom's house. It's kind of cool to imagine what that would look like. So, but Alan Lee's illustrations are beautiful, just amazing.
Right. Now here's where here's where some of this gets interesting.
Yep.
He then told them many remarkable stories, sometimes half as if speaking to himself, sometimes looking at them suddenly with a bright blue eye under his deep brows.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's something to that.
Right, there is. He told them tales of bees and flowers, the ways of trees, the strange creatures of the forest, about the evil things and the good things, things friendly and things unfriendly, cruel things and kind things, and secrets hidden under the brambles. Right?
Pretty awesome, man.
It is awesome. So how long did this take? And that's where we get into
question,
some of that, right?
Yeah.
How long were they there?
Right. So this is all going on when Goldberry's out of the house. It's her washing day, her autumn cleaning. And so, it's this, and it doesn't even, I think Tom even says, did you say this? It's the perfect day. This is what we should be doing today.
No, I don't think I did.
Dang it. Sorry.
No, I might have missed that. So this is her washing day. It's a good day for long tales, for questions, and for answers. So Tom will start the talking.
There you
go. You had something in here about him being, what is this? So Tom starts talking and apparently talks for, it was how long did he talk?
How long does he?
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. Oh, Tom is indeed waterproof. Where did that come from? Except his boots.
Oh, yeah. He, when he enters...
When he comes in,
God, sorry, man. There's just so much stuff here.
There's so much, I know, but that's a cool.
Yeah, nothing could be seen all around the house but falling water. I thought that was kind of interesting too. Frodo stood near the open door. I loved this description. I'm sorry, I got to go back. And Frodo stood near the open door and watched the white chalky path turn into a little river of milk and go bubbling down into the valley. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You can envision that. You know what that looks like. Tom Bombadil came trotting around the corner of the house, waving his arms as if he was warding off the rain, except for his boots.
Okay.
So he's like he's moving the rain away from him.
Wow. That is interesting.
Weird, right?
That is interesting. Yeah.
Makes me wonder if he doesn't like baths. Maybe he doesn't like being washed up.
Yeah.
Likes that earth on him.
Yeah.
He's okay.
So no, Tom has begun the talking and he's telling these stories, right? And so they listen, they begin to understand the lives of the forest.
Yes.
Apart from themselves.
Yes.
And there's this they feel themselves as strangers where all other things were at home.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And
interesting.
You have hobbits who are creatures who love things that grow.
Wild things. Yeah.
And they actually enjoy that.
Yeah.
So, it's just, I don't know.
It's almost you're right. There's a different energy here, which we felt in the last chapter too. And he goes to talk about, how old the forest is, and talks about how they sort of had a fallen status, right? Mm-hmm. They used to be all of Middle Earth, or most of Middle Earth was what the old forest was. It was it was ancient forest covering throughout, and they talk about how he goes on to talk about the fallen status turns to malice, right? Because they're cut back and they're kind of cornered in, and they were there first. And so that's he's explaining the root of what happened to them pretty much with Old Man Willow. Is he's saying this is why they are this way. This is why when you come into the old forest, there's this sort of hostility that we get a glimpse into their past, and you can kind of understand it. He's really helping us sympathize, I guess, with the trees. They're ancient, they're original. He says they're the fathers of trees. Yeah. Right? Yep. They once reigned supreme, and that time is no more. And that's just natural. When your time is past, you get a little grumpy. You don't feel appreciated. We heard it in the Chris Stapleton song when we were getting ready.
Yeah, we did.
Right? Yeah. Like, my time's gone. My time is my prime is past. You should have seen me. You should have seen me in my prime. You should have seen me when I shined. So we learn how Old Man Willow has become their leader too. He kind of has stretched his roots and his reach throughout the entire forest, so that he is dominion over all of the woods. He would also explain that too, how his roots almost went. You can imagine this infrastructure of roots going from the hedge all the way to the Barrow-downs, and that's how he influences everything. Yeah, it's all under his control.
Dude, this is unreal. I'm kind of rereading some of this here, and him talking. He gives you the histories, basically.
He does.
He really goes through all that history stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes way back. He goes first age stuff.
Yeah, he does. He really does, and because he was here before
the first raindrop.
He was
the first acorn.
Yeah. Yep. So he's talking about all the different things that happened. They heard about the great barrows.
Yep. Did you think of Newark and like Chillicothe when you were reading about those? Huh. Just like the mounds,
Oh yeah,
wasn't that interesting?
You're right.
Yeah, like
I didn't think
earthworks.
Yeah, you're right. Earthworks. Yeah. There was victory and defeat. Towers fell. Fortresses were burned. Flames went up into the sky. So it talks about the destruction of these different cities and places and stuff.
Yeah, and at least how we're reading it too, it's nothing real specific. So I almost wonder, like, did Tom, if he was going full into it, was he going real nitty gritty details? And it was so long ago that the hobbits were just like, yeah, okay, there's the king and there's towers, or is he so old that it was just kind of?
I bet he gave them a bunch
generic.
Of details.
He probably did, and so that's what you can do. You can go back and you can look and research the Barrow-downs and who was there, and the tide of Numenorians.
Yeah, the kingdoms that were there.
Right. And how the Barrow-wights were possessed by the Witch King and all this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff there. Actually, I did some. It was like going down the rabbit hole on Tolkien Gateway, getting some of the background. You start with the Barrow-downs, and you go to the Barrow-wights, then you go to the Avari, then you go to the Great Journey, and then you go to Cardalon. It's like all this stuff that's packed into the history of that area.
It is just that area, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he's talking about. He's not talking really about
no
all of. And here's, I think, one of the reasons why.
He's prepping them.
Yeah, he is. But it's also the reshaping of Middle Earth. It gets reshaped a couple of times and things. And so they talk about this forest and this area, his region, his domain, being one that is protected by him and has lasted this long.
Yeah.
So how old is this forest?
Right.
It's the oldest of the old.
Yeah.
It's the original.
It is.
It's original.
It is.
So
it was there.
Yeah.
There first.
But the hobbits are a little bit shook up actually when he starts talking about the Barrow-downs and beyond the forest. So,
yeah, because they've heard of this. They know of the Barrow-wights and the Barrow-downs in the Shire. It's like this. It was like this far away kind of scary bedtime story that they knew of, this myth that they knew of, and so to hear Tom validate it kind of shakes them up a little bit. And also to know that they're pretty much on that doorstep, that they don't want to head there. And Tom even says, I think later on, he says, keep away from that area.
Yeah.
But, their travels so far, they've had very little control over where they they've almost been led to places they didn't want to go to. So in the back of their minds, they're probably thinking, oh, Lord bless us. Please don't take us to the Barrow-wights. Please.
That's right.
Or the Barrow-downs. Let's stay far from there. It doesn't sound like a nice place.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then he takes them to
he gets even older, man, doesn't he?
Yeah, strange regions, beyond their memory and beyond their waking thought.
Into times when the world was wider.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, man, only the elf sires were awake.
I was just looking at that line, man.
Right? Suddenly he stopped and he saw that he nodded as if he was falling asleep.
He was putting himself to sleep.
It's like, what?
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. So they're still enchanted before him, right?
Yeah. They're staring at him. They're like, whoa, okay.
Right.
And then does Frodo ask him a question that wakes him back up?
The big question he asked is, who are you, Master? He asked. This is, don't you know my name? That's the only answer. Tell me, who are you, alone, yourself, and nameless? But you are young, and I am old, eldest. That's what I am. Yeah. Mark my words, my friends.
Yeah.
Tom was here before the river and the trees. Yep. Tom remembers the first raindrop and the first acorn. So he made pass before the big people and saw the little people arriving. He was here before the kings and the graves and the Barrow-wights. When the elves passed westward, Tom was here already, before the seas were bent. Wow. He knew the dark under the stars when it was fearless, before the Dark Lord came out from outside.
So, dude, what was his? But did he even have a beginning?
Wow.
Did he even have a beginning?
Let me think here a little bit. Wow.
I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so while you're thinking, because you love Tom. You love Tommy
I do.
B. I'm starting to, too. I always thought he was kind of weird before, but I didn't pay him the attention I should have, and I didn't take him as seriously, I think. Because, he can be kind of portrayed as like this, because of his singing. Like, we think he's ridiculous. He's not ridiculous. And just because he laughs, because he's peculiar, doesn't mean he's not incredibly important. So, so we know that while you're loading that up, I'm going to go into his etymology and his other names. So we know Tolkien was very
let's do it,
intentional with the names. With him, the name for the character came first. And that shaped who that character was, because he was a philologist, because he obsessed over words, because language was what he loved. That was his number one passion. It wasn't even storytelling; it was language. So, I mean, obviously, what you do with language is you tell stories. So that's the next natural step, or what you do with that. But so he went by many names. To the elves and Dunedain, he was known as Iarwen ben Adar, which translates to oldest and fatherless. Okay, so the elves and the Dunedain are calling him oldest and fatherless.
Right.
Where's your beginning if you don't have a father? And if the elves are calling you the oldest, I mean, so, and then it says, Iarwain literally means old young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very interesting.
No beginning, no end.
Right.
Yeah.
To the men of the Vales of Anduin and Rohan, he was known as Orald. This is an Old English word meaning very ancient. And the dwarves knew him as Forn. This is to a reference to his age. It is Old Norse for belonging to ancient days. And then Tom Bombadil is said to be his Bucklandish name. Mm-hmm. So it's, added by Hobbit chroniclers to his many older names. And like most Hobbit words, it's not translatable. That's just what it is. And also, kind of interestingly too, I didn't know this. This was very interesting. His the inspiration came from Tolkien's son Michael, who had a doll. Mm-hmm. Tom Bombadil was inspired primarily from a doll Tolkien's son Michael toyed with.
Wow.
So kind of interesting.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe that's kind of his whimsical nature too, as he came from a toy, but he's anything but that.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now,
it
just more and more.
Come on, baby.
Like, he is the creator. I just see God on earth, and I see him lost in his own works.
Yeah.
And I see him
call it what it is.
You want to call it the Garden of Eden, or the old forest of whatever. I mean, seriously, it's a place that I don't know, man. It is.
Yeah. Can I tell you someone else I was thinking about?
Go ahead.
This has nothing to do with anything, but Bob Ross is one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
And you sit and you watch Bob Ross paint, and he has this kind of whimsical but calm, but almost song-like when he speaks quality, and he creates these things that I always watch him, and I'm like, man, is he God? Is Bob Ross God? Is he just painting all of us and all these beautiful nature landscapes and all that stuff? And there's a little bit of Bob Ross in old Tom Bombadil. A creator that doesn't take anything else too seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting, man. Very interesting.
Yeah. So let's, the rest of the next bit of this, I don't know if you have notes, stop me, Lane, but I mean, they kind of wrap up their storytelling there, and Goldberry shows up, and basically the rain has stopped. It's time to kind of move on a little bit, and they didn't know whether they had been there for a week, or more. They felt like they hadn't ate in over a week, right?
But they didn't feel hungry or tired.
No, they were enchanted.
And I said, wow. Yeah. So to make a hobbit forget that he was hungry.
That's right.
I mean, that's primal, man. That's they're basic. So that's some enchantment they were under.
Right. Yeah. So Tom says, and let us have food and drink. Long tales are thirsty, and long listenings hungry work. So morning, noon, and evening.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like they had been there for a long time, and supper's ready. Goldberry and the hobbits saw that she was clothed in silver with a white girdle, and her shoes were like fishes' mail. But Tom was all in clean blue as rain-washed forget-me-nots, and he had green stockings. So,
and that pretty much explains why she their clothes is because she was washing up. It was her washing.
That's
day.
Right.
Fresh load.
Yeah.
Fresh load of laundry.
I mean, seriously, that's exactly what it is.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I know. Also, something interesting too that when he was going on about, and I think you said this, but it's just also kind of I circled it because anytime it's brought up unprompted by the hobbits or the quest directly, it's just very interesting that he's going on. He made pass for the big people, saw little people arriving, kings and queens. Blah, blah, blah. Tom was already here before the seas were bent. He knew the dark under the stars before the Dark Lord came from outside.
Right.
So it's brought up there. It's very interesting that he initiates that. Some foreshadowing too. That okay. So if he knows everything, maybe something's going to happen with the ring here. And then I thought it was just this is again just incidental or coincidental, whatever. But he mentions the Dark Lord, and then right after that, a shadow seemed to pass by the window, and the hobbits glanced hastily through the panes. So it's almost like, oh shit. And then when they turned again, it was Goldberry. So just kind of interesting that, even mentioning the Dark Lord puts them in that mindset. They see a shadow and they're like, oh, Goldberry. Okay, thank God.
And my question is, for listeners who have read the Silmarillion and different things, is which Dark Lord is he talking about?
Very good.
Is he talking about Morgoth or
very good
Melkor? I'm just like I said, I'm just learning about these things, and so Tom is a character that takes us that far back,
right?
So
and we see how he kind of, So maybe maybe some of those older dark powers are more serious. He kind of laughs off what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So maybe he's not even referencing. He wouldn't even consider that.
Yeah. So they eat. Goldberry sings them many songs, songs that have been that began merrily in the hills and fell softly down into silence.
Again, top to bottom there, falling. Yep.
Yeah. So I just kind of neat. She kind of goes on to describe her singing, and then once more she wished them each good night and left them by the fireside.
Yeah.
But now Tom seemed wide awake,
and he's the one asking questions.
Yeah.
Now. This is so cool,
this is
dude.
Cool.
This is the last 2 pages.
Right.
This is it's like so packed, man.
Right.
Packed.
So
we learned a little bit about how he knew they were coming, right? We learned about Farmer Maggot.
Yeah.
And that news had reached him from Gildor. And I thought it was really interesting. You're about to read this, I'm sure, but that we learned that Farmer Maggot, who he seemed to regard as a person of more importance than they had imagined.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Very interesting,
man. And the fact that Farmer Maggot knows Tom.
Right.
Just that fact makes us think, okay, definitely more to him than than we originally thought.
That is so interesting,
Isn't
actually.
it?
Yeah. I mean, and we get that. Yeah, Farmer Maggot is like a big. I mean, he's starting to become more and more like interesting to me.
Yes, very,
very.
Just
I wonder what his conversation with Tom would be like.
Oh, dude, I mean, can you imagine?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
there's more to him.
Definitely.
So now, how do we jump into this? I mean,
he just says, "Show me the ring.
Show me the precious ring.
Show me the precious ring.
Yeah,
precious."
Right.
Even Tom calling it precious.
This is unreal. And so there's no hesitation.
No. To Frodo's own astonishment, he just hands it right over, doesn't he?
Yeah. Do you think Tom knew he had to command that? Like he knew that he... It doesn't really matter, I guess. I mean, he knows eventually he's going to get it from Frodo, but like ease sort of that struggle, here's the command.
Right.
And there's no...
Frodo's not going to bring it up, is he? No, I think you're right. He had to kind of... And it shows to me it shows its enchantment, or either maybe just the draw of Tom that he does it without any kind of hesitation, without even thinking about it, even though he doesn't necessarily want to. Mm-hmm. He's astonished that he's doing it, but he just hands it right over.
Yeah, absolutely,
right over.
Wow. And so, why does Tom want to see this ring? What does he want with it? Why does he need to talk about it? He hasn't really concerned himself with any of their comings and goings, and it was just fate or whatever that brought him that way. You're lucky. I was coming this way, etc. So, anyways, suddenly he put it to his eye and laughed. For a second, the hobbits had a vision, both comical and alarming, of his bright blue eye gleaming through a circle of gold, almost like he's laughing at he who must not be named.
I know, and it's almost kind of just and it's not what you expect, is it?
Yeah,
you expect him to take it seriously and be this, because that's how Gandalf was. That's how even Gildor, when you brought it up with Gildor, it was this very serious conversation. He's just he's joking around. I thought it was cool too, this visual of him with his bright blue eye looking through it.
Yeah, and
then later how what this ring represents is this great eye of Sauron, lidless.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Is as he's holding that up, it's almost like he's looking.
He is the anti-Sauron,
right? But he's just kind of laughing at, this is
jovial, and so he brings this this side of it with laughter, whereas the Eye of Sauron is all about despair and fear. Mm-hmm. It's just an interesting parallel to envision those two images next to each other. Like think about the Eye of Sauron, and then think about Tom looking through this thing. Polar opposites.
This is crazy, man. So then Tom puts it on. Mm-hmm. He puts it on, and they noticed nothing strange.
Nope.
There was no sign of Tom disappearing. Tom laughed again, and then he spun the ring in the air, and it vanished with a flash. Mm-hmm. Frodo gave a cry, and Tom leaned forward and handed it back to him with a smile. Now, my question, and this is the question of all questions, folks. I want to. If you were just kind of drifting off there, and you weren't,
this might be a poll.
If you weren't listening, we'll make this a poll. Did Tom hand him back the one ring, or did he keep it? Was there another ring? Did he hand him a different ring?
Is everything after this, did it really even happen?
Right.
Are they still in that house?
Right. Did Tom, for just sake of, I don't know. Did he?
It's very interesting. It's very interesting.
It disappeared, and then he makes it reappear and hands it right back to him. So, I don't know. More to Tom than meets the eye.
It was kind of comical too that he, when he put it on, they didn't even notice it at first.
No,
now it says they gasped, and then they saw that he has the ring on. He's not disappearing.
Yes. Yeah. So something prompts Frodo to make sure that this ring is the same. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you've got he could hand him a ring that weighs the same, that looks the same,
sure.
But Frodo needs to check it.
Yep.
And so he was a little bit annoyed with Tom seeming to make so light of what Gandalf thought so perilous and important.
Right.
He waited for an opportunity, and when the talk was going again, Tom was telling this absurd story about badgers and their queer ways, and then he slipped the ring on.
Mm-hmm. And what happens, Ez? What peculiar thing happens yet again?
Well, he's supposed to disappear and no one can see him. Right?
Mary can't.
Mary can't see him.
So he feels a little reassured that way, right? He's like, all right, cool. It's my ring. The weight is about right, too.
Right.
Mary can't see me.
Yeah.
Right. But something else weird happens.
Yeah. He starts to kind of creep away and see if he can get to the door or whatever. And Tom says, "Hey there," glancing towards him. And he says, "Hey, come Frodo there. Where be you a-going? Old Tom Bombadil's not as blind as that yet. Take off your golden ring. Your hand's more fair without it. Come back, leave your game, and sit down beside me. We must talk a while more and think about the morning. Tom must teach the right road and keep your feet from wandering."
Very interesting.
Oh, my gosh. Who else can see? It's almost... being in that, what do you call that? What is that? Where they can see Frodo, like in the Wraith world? Is that like the
Shadow World?
Shadow World,
Yeah.
that he can see into that, and things. So,
which makes sense, right? After everything we've learned about him, it almost comes as no surprise, really.
Right.
It's like, well, of course,
sure,
he can. He's above all this. He's beyond all this.
Right. Yeah. So Frodo laughed, trying to feel pleased, and taking off the ring, he came and sat down, trying to feel pleased. Yeah, trying to feel pleased. Huh?
I mean, he's disturbed by this whole thing.
Yeah,
honestly. And think about it too. Think about this. It almost kind of undermines the peril of his quest. He's laughing this thing off, and it's like, dude, I'm afraid I'm going to die. I feel like I'm going to my doom, kind of thing. Oh, that would be. I can understand Frodo's like frustration there, and it's also probably just a mind screw. He's like, wait, how is this? How do the rules not apply to Tom? How do the rules not apply to him? I don't know. It's very interesting, and I'm sure trying to figure out who he is too. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So the rest of this is basically just this advice. Stick to this road. Let me kind of. Did you finally get that out of your beard? That's disgusting. I cannot believe you just ate that.
Pretty good.
Jiminy, guys, if you
egg
could,
yolk. It's just egg yolk.
Oh Lord,
golden for the lady.
Yes, sure.
Fair River daughter.
Sure. There's more in your beard too if you want it later.
I'll get that later.
All right.
Dessert.
So he set him on the right path here. He says, though, I am no weather master.
Dude, isn't that crazy? I had that underlined too.
Goldberry is.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. But it's just interesting that and he says, nor is aught that goes on two legs.
Ooh.
Well, and have we ever seen her?
No, she's floating. I'll be honest with you. When I first saw her, she is floating.
She's a spirit, man.
She is not necessarily
Ghostbusters
on 2 feet. I mean, she isn't. And so I just want to make that kind of clear. That's why I was in the beginning of this kind of hesitant. Like, what am I looking at? What am I looking at here? Yeah.
I think she has a fishtail.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm no weather master, right? I can master this ring, but the weather's beyond me. And see what that does to me is it makes Middle Earth a character, right?
Right.
And the greatest character of all.
Right.
Is that there is some stuff that even Tom, that is even beyond Tom. And that to me is a kind of a reassuring thing too. That it's not just one, he can't control everything. It's not all up to him. He does have this great power and knowledge and elevation above stuff that affects every other character that we're coming in contact with, but the weather is greater than he is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Pretty amazing.
So, the advice he gives them is to keep to the green grass.
Yep.
Don't go meddling with old stone or cold whites or praying in their houses. So, which unless you be strong folk with hearts that never falter.
Sam.
Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah. That's interesting. And then he teaches him a little song here just to kind of like, in case you need me.
I didn't hear you calling for help, but let me teach you a way to call
This
for
is
help.
how you would call for help.
Right.
If you wanted to. And so, I don't know, let's sing it together. Just a little.
We're going to do this.
I mean, I get.
Oh,
Tom Bombadil, Tom Bombadil, by water, wood, and hill, by the reed and willow, by fire, sun, and moon, hearken now and hear us.
Come, Tom Bombadil,
for our need is near us. That is not how you're supposed to sing it.
Is that a Christmas song? That sounded like a Christmas song for a second.
Oh, gosh. You know what else we should do? We should actually toss out to some of our because I'm sure we've got some musically talented people.
Absolutely.
Please sing some of these songs for us. We can.
Hey, here you go. Voice memo on your iPhone.
Please.
And email it to the an unexpectedpod@gmail.com, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do it.
Please do that.
We'll play him instead.
Honestly, we can make that sort of like a... Yeah, we'll talk about that later. That's a good idea.
Yeah. I heard that.
When they had sung this all together after him, he clapped them each on the shoulder with a laugh, and taking candles, led them back to their bedrooms.
Good night, kids.
In the house of Tom Bombadil.
That was an amazing chapter, my friend.
It was.
I've got some cool connections. We've talked about all of them, but I'll read them just because I took time to write them down. Hobbits are definitely under an enchantment in Tom's house. They seem almost in a dreamlike stupor, and apart from Frodo's questions, are really only participants in the events, even being led to their bath and bed, commanded to sit, like children with their parents almost. Not exactly, but that's a good visual. Goldberry's voice, movements, and demeanor follow a river motif, moving and flowing downward. Even her physical description, head to toe, headwater to mouth. Tom claims he didn't hear Frodo calling for help, and as the hobbits prepare to depart, he teaches them a song that will summon him to their aid. It is so interesting and a pity that such a powerful character has been so left out. You know, he doesn't appear in the Bakshi films, the radio drama, Jackson's trilogy, yet Tolkien dedicates plenty of time to him. So, I mean, if old father J.R.R. thought he was important enough, I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of sad that we haven't really seen him realize in that medium. So,
Right. No, I think that's awesome, and those are cool. I like it.
You're cool.
So, takes cool to know cool, buddy. That's it, guys. I think that's it for our cool connections and the reread. So we are on to the Bywater post, and this is in record time, my friend.
Are we under 2 hours?
We're getting close. Well, I mean, it'll still be over 2 hours, but
we
don't
can't
you
go
worry.
less than
We'll never be under 2, I don't think. So again, it's snowed under, and I love this idea of just finding ways to get your voices in on the podcast. So, we will work on that I'll make sure that I get the number up to you guys, and all that goodness. Okay. Yeah. So let's see here.
Hey,
I'm going to read.
And until then, just if it's, you can at least know that if it's under 6 minutes or under, you could record it on your phone and email it to us.
True. Yes.
Right. And that quality from Mike was great.
Right. And I don't even know how long you can actually get on the Google number, so I have to figure that out.
40 minutes or so.
40 minutes. 4 months. So I'm going to read. So we have some. I got a message from Chrissy Chadbourne, and I'll read this to you guys. She says, "Hey, hello guys. Just wanted to reach out and say thanks for this podcast. I'm on episode 1 with much excitement. This is my first read. Ooh, we better be careful.
Oh, interesting.
Thanks for telling us, Chrissy.
Cool. Thank you.
I read The Hobbit a few years ago, and now I'm reading along with you. I found it interesting and kind of crazy that not only are you in the same region of this country as I am, Philadelphia, but I was also raised by a Nazarene pastor, my dad. Wow, that's pretty cool, right? I won't lie that I was an immediately that was an immediate turnoff. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, I was like, well, she's not gonna say that.
I replied, wow, I can't even talk. Forget it.
That's cool.
Forget it.
Yeah, good try. Because I've moved quite a ways away from those beliefs, but an odd, kinship there. So honestly, a lot like our journey a little bit,
And that's kind of what I told her. It's
spiritual.
Similar. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, growing up, I was not allowed to watch most TV shows or listen to most music. I'm going to tell you, Chrissy, right now, this is exactly, my family was also very strict. So people make references all the time. Like, I'll never forget, I know, I'll save it. Remind me, the Michael Jackson story. Remind me in a second.
Michael Jackson.
But it always seems that
a lot
adventure.
of crotch grabbing.
Sorry. Oh, you're right.
For Michael.
We're interrupting Chrissy's story.
Sorry,
that's my
Chrissy.
fault. But it always seemed that adventure movies were all we had at home. And as I got older and farther away from the faith of my family, it was one of the only things other than food that my parents and I had in common. My dad has always been obsessed with Star Wars, and he's got all the Lord of the Rings movies. He isn't really a reader. So I thought it would be a nice bonding experience to watch them with him as I go through the books.
Yeah.
The movies I have seen part of, but this is all very new to me, including the Hobbit movies. Another reason I was drawn to this is that my cousin has a few Lord of the Rings tattoos. And, well, when someone is that devoted to something, I think, hey, it must be worth checking out. I agree. About me, I would say I usually set a goal to read 100 books a year. Wow. That's awesome.
That's insane. I haven't read that many in my life.
And often accomplish it with the help of Audible. Yeah, Audible helps a lot. Mm-hmm. And almost all of them are nonfiction. I was never a fiction reader, and then I discovered Harry Potter, and that was my one true love. I have reread it 3 times, and I finally decided to branch out and find other books that are just as beloved, and this topped everyone's list. So thanks again, and I hope you keep it all going till the end. Chrissy.
Now we have to, Chrissy.
We do.
We have to now.
We absolutely.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, which is great. I want to read the next one too.
Okay.
Get your feet off me. Quit this.
Dude, that's not me. River Daughter, man.
Sorry. Ben Coles. So just want to say I love the podcast, guys. On the first episode at the moment, but I'm going to try to catch up before the next one comes out. Honestly, I've been trying to find a Tolkien podcast / community I can get involved in and feel a part of. You guys are nailing it. Much love. Where is he from here?
Wirral, England?
Wirral, England?
Isn't that awesome?
That is so cool.
We have so many uppers from
That is
England.
so cool. We need to make a map and start putting...
We do.
Don't we? Make a map
and start pinning everyone's location.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And we have pictures of people's shires, their homes, that we could attach to it.
Absolutely.
Oh, Ez.
All right, we got a project.
Ideas are flowing.
Yep. It's 2 minutes away from Liverpool. If you know where that is.
Beatles.
Yeah. I finished the first podcast and was straight on Patreon to chip in. Awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes. So excited to listen to the rest of them. So
beautiful.
Sweetness.
Thanks, Ben. And then I have Megan Howard. Okay, so Megan sent us a message. She said, hello, I'm a little shy, I guess, and I don't know. I guess I just wanted to send a private message instead of a public one because I'm weird, I guess. I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. Do you think Megan wants us to read this?
I don't know. Did you proofread it first?
Yeah, I read it.
Okay. Is it good?
It's awesome. I mean, all our stuff is good.
Yeah, I think it's let's read. I haven't heard it yet, Megan,
My name is Megan. I'm 21 and I live in Woodstock, Georgia. I'm trying to catch up to your current episodes, but I caught on a little late. I think I started listening sometime later in February, and I'm on the 4th episode. So close. Megan, you're an excellent writer.
Yeah.
I got into Lord of the Rings when I was around 8 years old. My dad was a big fan of the movies, and he kind of introduced me to them, and I honestly can't remember not being a fan. Preach it. That's the way to be. Anyway, I wanted to read the book since middle school, but I've always had a little bit of trouble making connections and looking at the text from a broad perspective. Sounds like you're just like me. Absolutely like me. I can totally understand that. Listening to you guys, especially Ezra, has been extremely helpful in that area for me. Again, that's exactly right for me, too. Some of the things you say are things that literally go right over my head. Every time I talk to Ezra, I feel this way, Megan.
No.
Same way. It's so cool to hear all the speculation and theories you guys come up with and seeing the connections and understanding figurative language. It's all been really helpful for me when trying to better understand the story. I guess I kind of feel similarly to Lane. Something you said earlier on was that you tend to focus more on the smaller details, which is something I find to be true about myself. And it's cool to listen to things you found interesting. There's quite a few parts where you read from the text I've noticed that demonstrate just the imagery and how beautiful it sounds, and I feel like we kind of both appreciate things in that way. Absolutely. Side note, it's really cool that you're both teachers. I would have loved to have teachers as cool as you guys. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Tell that to my students.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I'm just kidding.
Can you talk to, my boss likes me, but yeah. Anyway, I said I was going to keep this short, even though it's not actually very short. Again, something I do. I just wanted to chime in and let you guys know that this has been a really fun experience for me so far, and I really, really appreciate what you're doing. I'm excited to catch up and see what new cool things you guys have discovered. P.S. I literally choked when Lane did the fireworks sound effects for the first chapter, and that's something I think about almost every other day. P.S.S. Sorry for messaging you so late. I hope this isn't weird. No, not at all.
No, it's absolutely great, Megan.
That was an awesome message.
It is great, and I am so glad that you brought that up, the fireworks and the sound effects, because
I forgot we even did that. Honestly,
we just kind of roll with it.
We do. We just let it go. That was a beautiful message. It's cool to find people who, because you think I don't know, it's the world we live in, and you think it's you're the only person that's like you, right? You feel kind of isolated that way. So it's cool to find people who think the same way you do, who have the same kind of tendencies and focus that you have. That was awesome. That was a great message.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
and I see that in our book club too, of people who have like the different that's why it's neat that they can pull out like this minute little detail and then expound upon it and take it so far and so wide. And I don't know. That's
why book clubs are the best, right? Because you see it as a collective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't miss anything because we're all on the watch for something. It's like the Fellowship. You've got
that's exactly right.
These different characters that are on one common quest, and because they all have these different skills and vision, the evil is fought off.
Well, I mean, I don't know. This is something I've thought a lot about with podcasting and having this this group and this community. Mm-hmm. I'm being influenced by people in England, and New Zealand. Right. And,
California.
Around, exactly.
Pennsylvania.
It is great, guys. I cannot tell you, it is so awesome. And then not just like you guys influencing me, you guys influencing each other, us getting to talk to you guys. It's just, it's all something. It's something, awesome. Man. It's crazy.
Awesome. That's the reason we wanted to do this. We wanted to, be a part of this. We're just as much a part of it as you are. Okay, we got some strawberries with cream. So, stuff got kind of hairy in the old forest.
It did.
Do you wear figs? Have you worn figs? Will you wear figs? Then will you wear figs? If you could wear one wig from the films for a day, whose would it be and why?
Wow, did you write this in for me? This is great.
I don't know. I didn't manipulate anything.
No, you didn't.
I usually don't even write anything in these notes.
So Eowyn, because I'm worth it. Is that like... Because I didn't even see this.
You would look killer in Eowyn's wig.
Yeah, I think I would.
No, I wrote that for you. So you want me to go first and then you can think of a wig?
No, I actually think that's great. I'm going to stick with that. Why? What else would I?
You'd actually look good in that white dress too. I mean, I'm not.
If I could just get like a dwarvish beard too, that would be great.
Bearded lady.
Yeah, bearded lady.
Wow. Like the dwarf ladies. That's true.
Yeah.
And I would pick Samwise wig. Sam's wig. Because I've always wanted curly hair. I remember I would see people like in high school and stuff who had like curly hobbit hair.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, you suck, dude. I want your hair. Even girls would be like, man, I want that hair so bad. Those wigs are so cool. Just that curly mop ahead. Man, we are good at hair.
I'll get you a wig. Well,
it's interesting too because I'm losing my hair now, right? Which I've come to terms with. The recession is real, but I'll never have a head of curly hair, just straight and falling out.
We can work on it. We'll work on it.
But you know what gives me hope for that is Dwalin's a pretty cool bald-looking dwarf.
Yes, he is. Absolutely.
So I think
absolutely. Yeah. Well, we'd call up Tammy Lane. She could probably do a little something for you, that you could wear every day.
I don't need a nose job, Ez.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like
she's not a wig master.
Can't she?
Don't you remember that from the interview?
I do, but I don't mean the wig. I mean, like you wanted the bald head, right? I mean, she could do that, doesn't she? Didn't she work on?
Wow.
If you wanted to, I don't know.
I could just shave my head too.
Okay, fine.
I
just wanted to get Tammy Lane involved, so
who doesn't? She's amazing. We need to talk to her again. Let's give her another call.
I think we should.
Would you guys like that part 2 with Tammy? I just hear everyone.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk to Tammy again. Little share the load.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you for everyone who has supported us on Patreon. We really appreciate that. You guys have no idea how much that means to us. We might start posting on there since I've been diving in a little bit to the histories and stuff. It would be very short. It's not going to be very in-depth or whatever, but if you want like just a... And there are people who are in our group who could probably do this much better than I could, but I just kind of wanted to get a little bit of the histories and sort of talk about the beginnings of, this world that we, appreciate and are reading about. So do a little bit more of that on there. We also have There and Back Again, a series that we're continuing. And
Chapter 3 will come out in April. That's in the land of Mordor.
Right, exactly. And so we've got the appendices, which if you want a good laugh or some crazy, just wild... some wild stuff, guys. I mean, let me tell you,
it's out there.
We got a few I've got a few that I've recorded that are just a little.
I love when you tease those on Facebook too. By the way, I love that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So, anyways, there's that. We've got our
Pop
Instagram
Socket giveaway. It's about time for a Pop Socket giveaway too.
Need to do that this week.
Need to do that.
So actually, by the time this comes out, hopefully we've done it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
and it's congratulations.
Yeah.
You won
Right.
Oh, we're just going to fill their name in there later.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding.
No, we're not doing
No. But congratulations, whoever you are.
Good try. Lane likes to make more editing for me at the end of this. So.
I do. It's kind of fun.
It's cool.
Don't forget to add the music for name game.
Right. Okay.
It's going to take it to a whole nother level. I know some of you are like, God, a name game. But when you hear the music for it, you're going to want to visit puremichigan.com.
Don't you just, I just the music just really like adds another,
Okay, cool. So that's my voice, huh?
I'm just kidding, man.
That's cool.
I'm just kidding.
Don't forget Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page, and eventually, the group coming up. We want to thank you. I guess it's time for the fortnight farewell already. It seems too fast.
I know.
I want to thank you for stepping off the road with us. Our next episode will be digging deep into Chapter 8, Fog on the Barrow-downs.
Right. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, or leave a comment, or send us a shadow fax.
He's the Lord of all communication. We'll see you in a fortnight, and remember, Frodo lives.
I had an errand there, gathering water lilies, green leaves and lilies white, to I don't even know how this one would go. By that pool long ago, I found the river daughter. How does this go?